Who the hell can wait till morning? Talk now at latenightsportsradio.com.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this special night. If you are a football fan, it is the FantasyGreek.com's NFL Draft First Round live coverage. I am the driver of this ship tonight, although I do have a co-pilot and a navigator, and they are Jim Sarantias from the FantasyGreek.com and John Maloris from 87sportsfans.com. Gentlemen, good evening.
Good evening to you, sir. And let me ask you now, which hat do I get to wear? And what role am I taking on here?
I'll let you two fight it out over there.
This guy, he's huge. This is the first time I've seen him live, and that's a real deal.
Jim and John are both joining us from a certain special location in the Chicago area. Jim, do you want to tell us where you are?
Absolutely. We're at the Cubby Bear at Wrigley Field, right across the street from historic Wrigley Field, on the second floor. I can see their marquee. It is pretty incredible. We've got probably 15 TVs going here. I don't know. We're expecting 40-plus people. We might get a little TV coverage, so things are really good. And this is where we are. Oh, Keith, real quick, and to the listeners out there, I'm here with Johnny Maloris, and I have to tell you, he's more impressive in person than not. That's all I can say.
Thank you very much. You know, the cranes here across the street from Wrigley Field, that's probably the most impressive thing right now. That place is tore up.
Well, usually it's the Cubs that are tore up by this time of year.
Not anymore, man. Different day and age.
Yeah. So here's the game plan, kids. We are going to talk drafts pick by pick as the news happens, as the pick happens. We want you to talk sports with us. So if you are listening, 585-633-7487 is the phone number to call in. 585-633-7487. Like picks, hate picks, don't like what's going on, ready to take bridges, give us a call. We'll call the suicide hotline for you, especially if you're a Jets fan, because I got a feeling it's just going to be that kind of season.
Wow.
So,
let me ask you this now. I know they have they have Draft Town, okay, in Grant Park, downtown in Chicago here. Now they have a Hall of Fame museum that they're installing, a temporary one. Now, how many do you think there's going to be more 85 Bears here trying to make a name for themselves still, or are there going to be more Jets fans screaming and hollering?
I don't know, but the Bears are apparently trying to work the phones pretty good, according to Adam Schefter and NFL Network and pretty much everybody right now. The Bears are openly shopping Jay Cutler in an attempt to get the Tennessee Titans to give them the second pick in exchange for their seventh pick as well, to assumedly go after Marcus Mariota. So if that happens, if the Bears are able to pull this off, which it doesn't look like it's going to be able to happen because it doesn't sound like the Titans want anything to do with Jay Cutler, if that happens, how crazy do you think that place will be around you right now?
Oh, I mean, coming from my side, Jim's the expert here, but when it really comes down to it, I think people would be incredibly upset going with Mariota. I know everybody doesn't like Jay Cutler. Everybody hates the jerk face. That's fine. But when it really, when you look at the situation, I'm not sure you want Mariota there, just knowing that he's a project guy. It's going to take a little bit longer time to develop. And, there's still people that aren't sure if he can make that solid throw all the way downfield when he actually has to wind up and throw it more than 15 yards. That seems to be his most questionable place, and who knows how that's going to work in this offense.
Right. Jim, what do you think?
Well, look, if the Bears are looking to shop Jay Cutler, it's because I think they genuinely view him as a player that can't get him to the next level, as well as sort of a sore spot on the team, somebody that's not really down with the program. So that the fact that they're looking around speaks volumes as to their internal feelings. Now, if they do pick up Mariota, he's a project. He's a guy that you really don't want to have him, starting the season. He's a guy that, while he can hit his first receiver, the question is whether or not he could hit his second. In the NFL, it's all about running plays. It's not all about athleticism like it is in college.
So,
go ahead.
You go ahead, Johnny.
Well, I was just going to say, probably one of the more interesting things is knowing okay, so you have Ryan Pace, first-time GM, taking over the historic franchise of the Chicago Bears. What is he going to do? Is that's a really big leap to take, I would say, with your very first draft, with the team going and trading up to that number 2 spot. But here's Roger Goodell. Everybody was cheering him. Do we agree with that? Do we think that was real, or was that fake? People just happy to see him, or get the show on the road here?
They're probably piping in the crowd noise. Oh, wait, that's the Falcons. It sounds like there's a good vibe going on.
You know what's really funny? You know what's funny, Keith?
Yeah, tell me.
Is John starts laughing, and it takes a second for it to get to the headphones. So I could hear him, and it's really funny.
Because you guys are on 2 different computers sitting next to each other in the same location.
It's even
holding
trippier.
hands.
No, it's even trippier looking at him because you see his mouth moving, and I'm hearing things a little bit delayed. But that's okay. We're going to get used to it. We can handle it, I think. We're professionals here. We try to pretend like we are.
All right, so the Tampa Bay Buccaneers will be on the clock first, and Monday night we did our mock draft, and we have, of course, like everybody else, had Jameis Winston going here, and there's, like we just mentioned, there are rumors of the Eagles jumping to the number 1 overall. What do you think is if Jameis Winston doesn't go to the Bucs here? Do you think it's the Eagles? Do you think something else happens, or are we indeed looking at Jameis going to the Bucs and it being the most anticlimactic first round pick?
Well, I don't see the Buccaneers trading out of this spot unless, literally somebody mortgages their team to the future. I mean, the Buccaneers are going to take Marcus Mariota because that is their number 1 need.
Mariota? You're calling Mariota or Winston?
No, he meant Winston. The whole thing here, I think, is just, when you look at the whole Lovie Smith situation, they are going to depend, Tampa Bay, they're going to depend a lot on the draft, just knowing that they have so many needs to fill, and in particular because, time's, already ticking on Lovie Smith here. And so, for him to actually, not have the right pieces on defense, that's what they're going to go through. They're going to try to build it up and approach all sorts of things. I mean, they need, a defensive end, they need a safety, they need a middle linebacker. And Jason Lynch, I feel like they're going to do everything they can to get Lovie the pieces he needs. And, even though it's his defense, and that's probably the most important thing, probably even more important than that would have to be the need at quarterback. I mean, when you have an opportunity to go with a franchise quarterback, you're going to hear it 100,000 times. But, even with the questions, you go with the number 1 quarterback just because. If you have a chance to change your luck that quickly with somebody like that, you have to take it. What do you think about that, Keith? Do you feel that Jameis Winston's going to be able to kind of control himself a little bit, in terms of, kind of some of the off-the-field stuff? I know that's been obviously the biggest issue, but are you going there with Mike Glennon or Seth Lobato? I don't think so. You have to go with a quarterback. What else are they going to do?
Yeah, well, the thing is that if you take Mariota and then you're pretty much saying that Mike Glennon's your starter for the next 2 years, and I don't think you can do that in Tampa.
I don't think anybody wants that to happen.
No, Glennon showed flashes, but it's time for a new face in Tampa, if you ask me. You get in certain ruts, and there's just certain players that can't be successful where they are. And, Glennon's one. I think Cutler in Chicago is another one, to bring up my favorite nemesis. There's certain faces in certain places that just cannot. I just don't think they won't be successful. So
what's your beef with Jay Cutler? Come on, just because he's a jerk face?
Hey, look, I'm a Cutler defender because I think that you can't blame it all on Jay Cutler last year, but we're not talking about the Bears. We'll talk about them when they fail to make this trade and they end up picking somebody that I hate at the 7th pick. But if you're Tampa, if you're Lovie Smith and you're trying to rebuild this franchise in your makeup, besides whatever you do on defense to make it fit in with your scheme, your Tampa 2 scheme or your Tampa hybrid scheme, whatever you want to call it, you need a quarterback. There are certain positions that you cannot compensate for on the football field, and the quarterback is the most important, obviously. An ex-receiver is another one. A run-stuffing defensive tackle is another one. A pass-rushing defensive end is another. You can't compensate for not having these on your team. There's no way to scheme away from those. And if you don't have a quarterback, you're going nowhere, period. So if you're the Buccaneers, unless somebody makes you a hog wild offer, and where you think that you can get a decent quarterback either from that team, or you won't be able to get it past Mariota in this draft. So you're pretty much, if I'm the Buccaneers, if I'm going to trade this, you have to give me a top-notch quarterback in return. And so the only thing that jumps into my head would be like San Diego trading Phillip Rivers, which won't happen. But that would be the only scenario that I could see Tampa Bay giving up this. This pick should be Jameis Winston.
Let me ask you this. This is a question I don't think anybody's asked at this point because it's, obviously it's super situational. But say Tampa would move that pick for a guy like Phillip Rivers if San Diego was looking to move up and get one of those quarterbacks. Are they taking Jameis Winston in that case? Because I mean, basically all the talk and speculation has been around Mariota. If Tampa does move this pick,
something happening?
The pick is what we're doing here. I see on my television it says the pick is in. So
here we go.
Hopefully it's rolling up here soon. But again, this is something you need that quarterback. I mean, it totally changes the whole direction of the team. Whether it's for good or for bad, it's something different. And it's worth a shot. So that's what they got to do in Tampa. They got to go with the quarterback here.
Yeah, here's a significant stat. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, 17.3 points per game. That's their average on offense. Third worst in the league. Actually, fourth worst in the league. There's a stat.
How about another one? Of all the times that Tampa has drafted a first-round quarterback, that quarterback has never made it to their second contract.
That's wild, and that's the biggest one too. That's I mean,
Trent Dilfer, Heath Schuler. I'm trying to think. Doug Williams, Vinny Testaverde. Those were the four.
I still think they had their best shot with Josh McCown. I don't know what Lovie Smith's problem is with them.
Oh, please. Oh, please. I'm dying to know. I wish Goodell would just announce this pick already.
No, Goodell is trying to orchestrate a trade for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He's got his hand in everything. So, here he comes.
Yeah, we'll find out. And they select Jameis Winston. There it is. No surprise. The most anticlimactic draft pick in probably history. The worst kept secret ever.
Hey, Keith, just so you know, you're about 5 seconds ahead of us.
Oh, well, you know why? Because Twitter's happening faster than cable right now.
Oh, don't look at Twitter. We're ignoring Twitter. We're ignoring it.
I got to keep the feed here.
No, that's great. It's something, man. Even though it's here in Chicago, they just showed an animal on the screen. Some dude with his face all painted up and shoulder guards and everything else, man. I don't know what's going on, but it's good to see, some representatives from other towns. Here at our party, I'm seeing a Bengals shirt right now. I'm seeing a Browns shirt. There's also a Denver Broncos. A lot of orange happening right now, but like I said, it's a pretty good crowd here right now. We're picking up. We're gaining a little bit of pace here. I think everybody's in transition because if you didn't know, Keith, I'm sure obviously you don't live here, but here in Chicago right now, there is traffic absolutely everywhere, and specifically because of this draft. They've had Congress Parkway, one of the main arteries of downtown Chicago, shut down for like the last week and a half, and probably for about another half a week here, so like maybe 5 days, just because of the draft.
I would imagine it'd be crazy, but
you know what was hilarious coming into the draft was how many people, attacked Jameis Winston for a million things, whether it be his character, even his football play, and that part I did not get because this is the most quarterback-ready draft prospect in this draft. If you're a team that needs a starter, he's your guy. Right. And there's nothing about his play that is worth criticizing.
Well,
do you think he can maybe be a little bit better in the pocket? I know the kind of ball security has been an issue for him for a while there, Jim. There was obviously the game against Oregon State in 2013 where it just seemed like he was getting stripped all the time when it was in the pocket. A lot of soft fumbles, and sometimes, when you look at the fourth quarter against Arizona in 2014 here, he ended up having Wright take the ball right away from him. It was just a key fumble and a big moment. Do you think, Jim, that that's something he might be able to overcome? Is that something you teach, or maybe just kind of get that confidence underneath yourself and you feel a little bit better about the ball?
Well, I don't know how he could be the ball, but remember that from Caddyshack?
Yeah.
Be the ball.
No.
Beat the ball.
Be the ball. Look, here's the bottom line. Do you want him or Mike Glennon? I think you want Jameis Winston.
Oh, that's a no-brainer.
Oh, you got it. Yeah, you got it, man. That's a really weak depth chart in terms of what Tampa has at quarterback. And so we're looking at Tennessee's on the clock here. Are they going to end up moving this pick? What do you think? What do you think there, Keith?
Well, I think you look at the Titans last year. They were abysmal on offense. I'll
take a break in a little bit.
They were the fourth worst rated passing offense at Pro Football Focus, but part of that was because they were also the fifth worst rated pass blocking unit as well. But again, you can't tell me that you honestly look at Zach Mettenberger, and though he showed flashes for a rookie that wasn't expected to play last year, you can't tell me you look at Zach Mettenberger and see the future of your franchise. If you're
confident about Zach?
Say that again?
So you don't feel confident about Zach?
Not when I have an opportunity to take Mariota. And what that does is like Mariota's not going to start week one if the Titans take him. This is Mettenberger's team for at least the next year or two, because Mariota is going to have to adjust to the NFL speed, the NFL pocket game. He's going to. I'm not like pulling the wool off anybody's eyes. That's the consensus. It's just natural. He's a natural athlete. He can escape when he needs to. He can make the throws in college. He was very careful with the ball, throwing it anyway. The question is, can he adapt from the spread offense into an NFL offense where most of the time you are going to have to throw from a pocket that is collapsing? Even the best pockets are collapsing more than anybody wants to admit. So if I'm Tennessee and I have a chance to take a quarterback, which I believe will be, like an Aaron Rodgers, the future of the franchise down the road if he just sits long enough and develops and we don't rush him, I take him. I don't trade him. I don't trade this pick.
And now, what's your full thought on Mariota there, Jim? I mean, do you feel like he is NFL ready? I mean, obviously he's probably going to be a little bit more of a project than some of these other guys, but I don't know. I mean, do you think he can develop those skills with just a little bit of coaching, or is that something where he just isn't going to be able to make that jump?
I think he's going to need a little bit of coaching. I like what I've seen from him in terms of his strength, his accuracy, but he's going to need to be a player that works on his progressions. And what I mean by that is not to actually just do the progressions, but to react to them. Unlike college football, usually your first read won't be open. So you have to go to your second read or your third read. And Mariota struggled at those things quite often. And in the NFL, you just can't. So I think with some work, yeah, he's a guy that can be a long-term quarterback for some lucky team out there. But if they throw him in right away this first year, I mean, that's not the situation he needs to be in. He just doesn't. So to me, the Titans could draft him, but they're going to have to start Mettenberger and let Mariota sit off to the side. And I think to myself, Mariota is probably the better quarterback right now.
Well, I already know what the pick is. Do you guys want me to tell you?
Yeah, why do you got to ruin this for us, man?
No, stop.
All right. So the report is that Eagles are offering 2 first-rounders, a third-rounder, Fletcher Cox, Lance Kendricks, and more to move up to 2.
Ooh, look at that.
That's a lot.
You keep us updated with that kind of stuff. We can't hear that here.
That's a lot.
Well, hey, you know what I mean? It is what it is. That's the price that you pay for, quality starting quarterback for the most part. I mean, it's, you hate to see, some ridiculous trade where you pretty much give up your entire franchise's future, at least where you're kind of handcuffing yourself in terms of, what you're going to do in the draft in future years. But I mean, overall, that's the cost. Am I right, Keith, or what? What do you think?
Well, So you're saying that for the future to take all of those pieces would be better than Mariota?
Well, what I'm saying is that if you're going to give up that much, I mean, that is the chance, at least in terms of going for that guy quarterback, where it's a key position where it will make a big decision on which direction your team goes. Is it worth it, knowing how high of a risk that he might not pan out? You know what I mean? Obviously, it's one thing to take him, with your top draft pick. It's another to trade away future draft picks.
Well, that's
along with that.
Well, that's one of the points though with Tennessee is that they have so many needs. Is it worth trading down for them?
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, honestly, if they could have got a guy like Phillip Rivers, I would be 100% A-okay with that. You know what I mean? If I'm Rustin Webster. I mean, it's one of those things where, like, again, if you can get a guy like Phillip Rivers for that, you take it. Just knowing that he's going to be comfortable there, coming from Tennessee. He's closer to home. It's all stuff.
Yeah, but
where he has a lot of family that's not even 20 miles out of there.
Also, making
and you can almost – it's almost sure. Go ahead.
No, being released now is also that the San Diego Chargers have told Phillip Rivers he will not be traded. So,
that's one.
Nah, that's old news. That's old news.
Well,
they came out with that earlier, saying that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
He knows what's up. I'm telling you.
I'm holding back what I already know. So I'm like, Chargers. It's right on the bottom of the ticker right now on the NFL Network. Chargers.
It was half an hour ago. They're announcing the pick right now.
Oh my God.
It's like the NBA draft. The NBA draft was off.
It is off.
Cable.
The NBA draft is bad because after the first 4 picks, you don't know anybody anymore.
So it is Marcus Mariota.
As we are waiting for the official,
I mean,
well, here it comes. Here comes the pick.
I would take Leonard Williams, but that's just me. He's more of a sure deal than Mariota. I'm going to go with the guy where he can make a difference. You can build around him on defense. A guy like Mariota, you have to build around him. Whether or not he's going to work is another story, but yeah.
Well, again, it goes back to you can't compensate for a quarterback. You know what I mean? So, and if Mettenberger ain't it, so if you really believe, and obviously Tennessee does, that Mariota will be an all-pro level quarterback, you can't pass up on that.
Yeah. So I mean, hopefully he's a guy that's going to make the difference. That's a really bold move by Tennessee. Obviously, it's probably one of the more obvious ones in terms of going for the position that they need. But again, if he doesn't work out, if they can't find an offense to fit around him, that's going to be the biggest problem right there. I mean, they had more glaring needs at defensive end, defensive tackle, outside linebacker, cornerback. It was pretty much all focused around the defensive end, but. Like you said, going for that quarterback, knowing what you have in Zach Mettenberger. I mean, Charlie Whitehurst isn't doing it for me, and Alex Tanney, he can collect his check elsewhere at this point. But, that's how it goes, I guess. It's what we all expected.
Yeah.
With the exception of a trade.
In our mock draft, John drafted Leonard Williams, like you just were saying. So now,
yeah,
that puts.
He's a better athlete, and he's more of a sure deal. I'm going to go with the more sure deal, and what I see the best guy available on the board. It's not Mariota, but with the premium that they set at the quarterback position, you have to go Mariota, or you have to deal it to someone that wants Mariota. And maybe for Tennessee, if they wanted Leonard Williams, they knew that obviously they're not going to trade with the number 3 pick or the 4 pick or the 5 pick. That they have to
and
deal with what they're handing. And number 2 pick.
Oh, and the Jaguars pick is in already.
I'd like to counter what Johnny's saying. Go
ahead.
I think if you're the Titans, you have to look at this situation as that you need a quarterback, and this is your last chance, and it's going to be your last chance for a year. There's no way Ken Whisenhunt is walking into this season without a quarterback that he can trust to play. Now, I've already said that I don't think that Marcus Mariota is the guy to start on day one, but he could be pressed into service, and you know what? It's Ken Weisenhunt's neck, not mine, not yours.
Right.
So, obviously the pick is in already. Why were the Jaguars so excited to make their pick? Was it only because they knew Leonard Williams was falling to them? Because they had to have been set on their pick for a while now. I mean, they weren't expecting anybody Leonard Williams going any higher than 3, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's an outside chance now. Well, looking at the teams ahead now, the Jaguars could go with an edge rusher. The word is that they really love Dante Fowler Jr., which is who Jim had drafted them in our mock Monday night. If the Jaguars don't take him, then the Raiders aren't expected to go that way. The Redskins would probably go that route if he's available. The Jets wouldn't, but if he somehow slips to the Bears, then that becomes the Bears' pick, I believe. If Leonard Williams somehow is there as at 7, then I think that becomes instantly the Bears' pick.
Yeah, I mean, you had a guy like Dante Fowler, though, you know what I mean? You get a little bit more depth. Maybe Williams is more of a, maybe closer to a number 1 pick, but in terms of, if you are going to go against best player available and kind of, address your needs, I think Dante Fowler's the guy for them. I mean, because he can go anywhere. People love him.
The Jaguars last year were 22nd in defensive yards allowed. They were also 22nd in points allowed. So, you look at they also were just atrocious on offense as well. And Blake Bortles is the rookie. He's was a rookie last year. Finished with 58.9% completion percentage, QBR of 21.9, but a rating of 69.5. So, whether that's something to build on, it's all in the eye of the beholder. I don't think you make a judgment on Bortles at this point. The offensive needs for the Jaguars, if you ask me, would be more on the running back side. But the offensive line as well. They need help in their secondary.
They need a running back. I mean, they have issues all over the place, primarily. But, I mean, here, let me ask you this. If they do go with Dante Fowler, did they back off of Randy Gregory specifically because of all the off-field stuff? I mean, what do you think on that, Jim? Do you think that Randy Gregory's, is kind of some of the issues that he ran into here, with the law, is that something that's going to kind of keep him, a little bit further on down the board?
If I understand your question, Johnny, I think the question is whether or not Randy Gregory's draft value has been hurt. Is that the question?
Yes.
It is. Okay. Yeah, it definitely has. I still see him as a first-round draft pick, though. His situation is one of those that it's had some time to sort of develop and allow the cascading effect of being dropped down a draft board occur, where other players, you're almost locked into them because you're like, we've been locked in so long, we're not going to change our minds at this point because we've done all our due diligence, we've had our discussions. But Randy Gregory, I definitely see him falling, but I still see him as a first-round draft pick, and I see the commissioners approaching the podium.
Oh, wonderful.
I already know it.
Yeah, I'm sure you did because you're wonderful like that. That's okay. That's what happens in New York. You're favored over the rest of America. You get to hear everything. Look. There he is. He look.
Dante Fowler.
Go with the whiteout. I like it. That's a classy guy right there. I mean, and that's when I was talking to Jim's wife for a short moment, and we are talking about how the style. That's the thing, man. It's just it's almost like the Oscars before asking, "Oh, who are you wearing today?" Well, I'm wearing Versace or this or that. Like, really, who cares? But honestly, I like that look. That's pretty cool because I'm a classy guy like that. I go with the roll back pomp and everything.
Our podcast is on.
Go ahead, Keith.
Oh, all right. And Dante Fowler Jr. is the pick for the Jaguars. Jim, nice job there on Monday night.
He knows what he's talking about. Jim's one of those guys where he's just so into a lot of stuff. I know very tight with the guys. Mr. Shanka over there at the Hour Lads. The guy's a former scout. The guy was doing stretches, and I mean, it's great having a little bit of insider knowledge like that, and maybe a guy with some connections too that kind of gives you a little heads up as to what these teams are thinking specifically. But I mean, let me ask you this now, Keith. What is Oakland looking to do? This is a pretty good spot for them. Do you think after picking up Crabtree, are they going to go with the wide receiver, or maybe they're going to address defensive end, cornerback, right guard, tackle, safety? I mean, those are all major issues for them.
This has got to be Amari Cooper. In my opinion.
What I would say. Because I like him over White, even though a lot of people are saying that White's a little bit better receiver than he is, and probably maybe more of a sure deal. But what do you think on that, Jim? I mean, are you going Amari Cooper here, or are you going Kevin White? What are you thinking for Oakland right here?
I don't have Amari Cooper going to Oakland. I think they take the next best player on the board, which is Leonard Williams on defense. Yeah. They've got plenty of wide receivers. I think with the Michael Crabtree signing, not to guarantee that he'll make the team, but I think that signing certainly indicates they needed a little bit of breathing room in case they couldn't get a top wide receiver in this draft. So to me, that points to taking a defensive player, which they certainly need. So I see Leonard Williams falling to the Raiders. That's me.
And see, like, my question to that is, you bring in Jack Del Rio, Bill Musgrave, Ken Norton Jr., these are all guys that I think have enough experience to make a difference with a team in a quick hurry. I feel like, it seems like Derek Carr, he's pretty comfortable from what he's understood so far with the Bill Musgrave system, because it's a little bit faster. They move the ball a little bit quicker, faster decisions. Now, obviously Leonard Williams is the best player available left on the board, but do they not need a receiver or maybe a few other pieces to add around Derek Carr, Jim, where maybe he feels a little bit more comfortable, where, it gives them a real shot rather than just, naturally addressing the defense, finding a guy on offense that's a weapon maker, a playmaker. Are they going to go for that? And you see they're going to go for Williams, but I just feel like maybe there's somebody out there that could make an immediate impact on offense just to make his transition a little bit smoother.
Well, here's the thing. What they desperately need is somebody on defense. If you look at their defensive line, they've got C.J. Wilson at one end, Justin Tuck at the other end, Dan Williams at nose tackle, Stacy McGee at defensive tackle. Let's see. Do we need a defensive tackle, defensive end, or do we need another wide receiver?
Yeah. No. You're right all about that. I'm telling you. The pass rush. I mean, just knowing that it was the second lowest, output in the league, for crying out loud. Outside of Khalil Mack, I mean, they really didn't have much. He was really their only legitimate pass rushing threat. And without him, Justin Tuck's around, but he's 32 years old, and I feel like they need to find a little bit more a more traditional 4-3 D end, to really help them out here and kind of actually progress this team, towards making their future look a little bit brighter. Because there was a few articles I read on FantasyGreek.com that were mentioning Oakland. They're not the dumb team that they were before. They are making some smart moves. Some of it has to do with the ownership. Obviously, Mark Davis is still running the ball club, but Reggie McKenzie, I feel like he might have an idea as to kind of how to fix this thing.
Based on what?
Well, they've done some good things. At least in terms of kind of adding a little bit of depth. You add a guy like James Jones. Now Michael Crabtree's there. The biggest thing I think with Crabtree is whether or not he's going to be able to find that. The speed that he once had. Obviously, he's a little bit older now, but I feel like that's something where, he's finally 100% healthy. Is he going to be able to turn that corner and finally make that full recovery? Because that's going to be the biggest thing for Oakland right now. When you look at all their needs, defense is a big deal, but I mean, in 2005, that was the last time they had a receiver that passed 1,000 yards. I mean, since then, there's been nothing, and Derek Carr, he looked really good at the end towards the end of the season last year. But, just knowing that he doesn't have those targets and maybe adding a veteran, like Crabtree, another true playmaker, I feel like that would probably be their best, addressing their best need rather than just kind of going for what's number one left on the board.
Yeah, looking at the Raiders and what they did well and what they did not do well, They were actually kind of middle of the road in their execution on their run defense. If you look at ProFootballFocus.com, like I do, what they really stunk at was their passing game. And yes, they had a rookie quarterback, but you need to give him Derek Carr a tool. And
Amari Cooper.
Well, there we
Amari
go.
Cooper.
Amari Cooper.
There it is.
There it is. They need that weapon. What did I tell you? You need to find that guy that the guy that's actually going to be able to help you out. And having a guy like Bill Musgrave on board now, where he has an idea as to what he wants to do with his offense. I mean, that's the best thing. And look at it. None of these guys are in Chicago. What the hell?
Well, it is what it is, but as far as that goes, but
yeah, I mean, you got to think. Obviously, the NFL can't make them be there, but they got to be a little bit pissed off knowing the fact that you're bringing it outside of New York for the first time since 1965, for crying out loud, and really. It was a 64 season, when that all went down, when last time it was in Chicago. But, really, you need to find some kind of incentive or some kind of something. Fly out their entire family. You're a multi-billion-dollar industry. I think you can fly out a couple old people, from Hawaii or Canada or, Venezuela, wherever the hell they're at. Get them here. Get them to Chicago. Wherever the draft is at, those players should be there, and it makes the league look bad with them not being there. To be honest with you, for a team that can for a league that can make news out of nothing, I think it's a big deal, man. It's a slap in the face.
Do you want to be the guy that falls in the first round, and then all they do is cut to your face in the green room, just waiting for your name to be called? No.
Does it matter? No, it doesn't, because that's the same pressure they'd be facing with the media anywhere else. Whether it's at a bad game. Or, after a great game, you're going to have to deal with the media. And you know what? If you keep dropping, well, look at Aaron Rodgers. What happened to him, for crying out loud? I mean, this is all, it's part of the game. It's part of the process. And, if you can't deal with it, I'm sorry.
No. John, you're reading a bit much into this.
No, I'm not. No, it's irritating. Those guys should be here. That's the whole point. Like, no, honestly, think about it. Okay, people, are always going to talk about, how it means so much to walk across the stage, to shake the commissioner's hand, to take your picture, put on a cap, hold up the jersey, all that business. And you know what? That's honestly, it's a special moment. I mean, I just know from I catch a note. I've caught, several no-hitters, every one since, one a year since 2008. Okay, I've caught a no-hitter at least once a year, okay? That's a big accomplishment. I feel good about that. I hit for the cycle. I feel good about that. And it's getting acknowledged for something that you did that's outstanding, like getting drafted, number 3, number 1, number 4, like whatever the case, that's a special thing, and to miss out on that, I just think it's silly. I mean, to be honest with you.
Wow, you got all emotional.
You don't think
there.
That, Keith?
You got all emotional. No, I could give two craps whether they're there or not.
Over there? Oh, come on. You're cheating yourself out of a moment. Yeah, it's more special because you're with so many of your close friends and family. Yada yada yada.
You're ignoring a possibly big angle here in that they don't really like the commissioner all that much. Just saying.
But I mean, do you honestly think they're all taking a stand against the commissioner? I don't think so.
No, I just don't think they care to be there. What's the big deal about What's the big deal about shaking your hands with that guy?
Here, let me put it this way for you, okay? So rather than winning the championship, and your given league, in this case football, wouldn't probably the second biggest moment of your career probably be your entrance upon the league?
Yeah.
I mean, that would stick in my brain forever. It'd be hard for me not to cry. I mean, I'm a sensitive guy, but I'm cool like that. But I mean, I don't know. I would just feel like, walking across that stage with the lights on you, you're looking sharp. You got your suit on, and you're putting this, your team's hat. I mean, that's got to be an amazing feeling. And I just feel like these guys cheated themselves out of that. And that's fine. If they want to do that, that's fine. But it makes the league look stupid.
Yeah. Let's move on. Let's talk football. We're moving on. I'm steering this conversation.
Almost as I know I don't like that almost as much as Bob's Anywho.
Yeah, right.
We need to make a segment for Bob Sullivan called the Anywho.
The Anywho.
Where we just pick any kind of who. I don't know what that means.
Cindy Lou Who. But the Redskins pick is in. Do you think if they take the best player available now, Leonard Williams has got to be it, right, Jim?
how do you not do that? I mean, to be honest with you, I mean, you have to go with the best player that's available, and Leonard Williams. To be honest with you, I mean, he's a guy. He's an impact player. He's a blue chip talent. This guy can play defensive end, defensive tackle, in a 4-3, in a 3-4. It doesn't matter. You know, what just happened? Brandon Sheriff off the board. Are you kidding me?
Wow. Wow.
See, now that is the first mind blower on this one. I mean, I did not see Brandon Sheriff going this early, man. I mean, when you look at you know, a variety of the drafts I'm looking at, you know, you're maybe thinking a little bit further down the line, but good golly, that's a mind blower. What do you think about that, Keith?
I don't understand it because like we talked about on Monday night, no one's really sure whether he's a tackle or a guard. For the number 5 overall pick, I mean, Jim. Jim.
Here I'll cut you off because that's what I got to do right now. But when it comes down to that, I mean, I don't know. I feel like it wasn't like a versatility thing where he could play anywhere. It was more of a question as to what the hell is this guy? What can he do? Where, you know, you're kind of covering up for, you know, a couple different you know, issues that he has, you know, at least in terms of kind of having, you know, right placement with his hands. Seems to maybe get a little bit flustered. I don't know if his feet are as quick as they need to be. And it's kind of maybe hangs on to guys too much. I mean, when it comes down to it, like I said, maybe it fits a need for Washington, but overall, Williams, all this tells me is, a silent Bears fan. Don't tell anybody. But I'm hoping Leonard Williams keeps dropping. Man.
Oh, one reason, Ian Rappaport is reporting, one reason Leonard Williams has slipped is some teams flagged him with a shoulder labrum issue. Not all teams, but some in the top 10. So
yeah, that's tough. Yeah, no, injuries are going to hold guys back a lot of times. I mean, like we're talking earlier, Randy Gregory, you got him, you have Shane Ray, all these guys kind of running up on some legal issues. You know, it's going to hurt. Let me ask you.
So now I mean, let's be honest here. We're talking about the Redskins. You know, they were god-awful passing the ball. They were god-awful in run blocking. They were pretty bad in pass blocking. They could use an offensive line. I just don't know if that was your number one glaring biggest need. I mean, they could have used help in the secondary. They could have used help on the defensive line or linebacker core, rather. But
where's that coming from?
Oh, I don't know. Is that Jim's mic?
That was a horrible sound. We just heard robots, Jim. There were robots that broke through, and apparently Brendan Sheriff was just selected by the Washington Redskins. How do you feel about that? I mean, Leonard Williams is still there. I mean, how do you pass him up?
Yeah, I'm a little bit stunned. I'm trying to play a little bit of catch-up here. Wow.
I mean,
really, what do you say about this? I mean, we all had different defensive players falling to the Washington Redskins, and it's not to say they don't need a guard. They absolutely do. They need 2 guards. But it was just so obvious that they would be looking for a replacement to Brian Arakpo, but I guess that's not the case. I mean, Sheriff's a great player. So as far as a pick is concerned, you just look at it and go, it's a great pick.
Yeah, I mean, like it gives them versatility. I just don't know if it was their number one need to use at the number 5 pick. You know?
Well, they clearly thought so. And I'm looking at their guards, and their guards are Sean Laveau and Chris Chester.
Wow.
That might answer it right there.
Yeah, I mean, and there's not much depth behind it either. I mean, you're looking at guys like Josh Larebius, and I mean, who's their other guard here? I mean, he's backing up at both spots. I mean, there's just absolutely zero depth there, and if I guess if you're going to look at it, you know, if you are going to add a guy that's going to be a playmaker and make an impact on a position where you just have zero depth, you know, I guess it's not a bad pick. Again, Keith, this comes down to a matter of, are you picking for the best guy that's on the board, the best player available, or are you going to fit your needs? And I mean, right now, we're moving on down the line here. We're looking at the Jets. I mean, I'm sure hopefully we'll see some of their roaring fans here down in Chicago, but at the Roosevelt Theater. What do you think that the Jets are going to do here, Keith? I mean, obviously they have all sorts of issues. They got rid of Rex Ryan. Wondering still honestly if Geno's the man, and then wondering how to be able to protect him. But they also need a rush outside linebacker. I mean, these are all major instances where they need to add a little bit. I mean, Stephen Ridley and Chris Ivory, in terms of adding a little bit of help for Geno Smith in the backfield, I feel like those are the same guy. And you need to add a little bit something different. Maybe the Jets take a running back a little bit further on down in the line here. But when it really comes down to it, man, I mean, you're looking at offensive tackle. They need a quarterback, and honestly, they need a cornerback. What do you think?
There was an interesting interview that I caught on the radio about Kevin White being invited to the Jets, and they asked him. He point blank asked them, "Why would you bring me here when you just traded for Brandon Marshall and you have Eric Decker?" And Chan Gailey talked to him about being able to create mismatches anywhere on the field by having the three of them, where actually Kevin White would be the X receiver, and Kevin White would be the Z, and Decker would be the Y. So that would be something to keep your eye on if the Jets offense. And I'm trying to keep track on what's going on here in the draft because.
So you're super cool like that, and you're always informed. And I mean, picking up Brandon Marshall, I mean, what good is he if you don't have someone that can throw him the football? You know what I mean? So I mean, are you looking to add maybe another threat on offense, like a running back or maybe a tight end, something along those lines? Or are you looking to protect the line a little bit? Hopefully, give Geno some time so where he's actually able to find Brandon Marshall. And let me interrupt you right now. Sure, the NFL draft's happening. This just came across my newsfeed here. Annette Funicello has died. That is awful.
It is. Almost as awful as
Brandon Sheriff.
Almost as awful as the Bulls beating the Bucks by like 81-38 right now. But that's basketball.
Yes.
We're not going to talk about that
because that's to happen. Bears and Bulls should be embarrassed by not having swept them, let alone lose the game the other night. That was ridiculous.
Now the Jets pick is in. Be very interesting to see where they go here. If they go best player available, it's got to be Williams.
It has to be. I mean, you're looking at that. I mean, otherwise, what are you looking at? I mean, you run an outside linebacker. Vic Beasley's available. If you want a wide receiver, you have Kevin White there. Shane Ray, again, we were talking about him, and same thing with Randy Gregory, both outside linebackers. Both I had a little bit higher up on my list. They both dropped significantly. So, I mean, Trey Wayne, they do need a cornerback. I mean, what do you think about that? Obviously, they bring back Revis, but I don't know if that's enough.
Yeah, you think about what's a bigger need in New York, and I think it's offense. I really do.
See, they were 30th in the NFL last year in touchdowns allowed through the air, okay? Their team, they finished, third.
Here we go.
Things are happening.
They signed a couple corners, too, to address that, so I don't know how much of that's a need.
There he goes.
Love that.
Leonard Williams, USC defensive lineman, to the Jets. The Bears are on the clock now. So where are the Bears going here? Are they going D tackle like we mocked? We mocked Danny Shelton going to them, or are they going to go with Kevin White here?
Honestly, I mean, if you're thinking in terms of adding a big body guy, I mean, you have to add Williams. You want that receiver, but with the Bears, just knowing that they do have enough needs, at least in terms of kind of looking at what they're doing with their offensive line. Their offensive line, I'm not too sure of. Looking at cornerback, wide receiver, they have quite a few issue areas. But I think adding a guy like Kevin White, I think he would provide at least the most confidence, at least for Cutler, where now he has a guy that's replacing Marshall. And like there were people that were taking White over Amari Cooper, even though White was hurt. He's kind of has been recovering from that. I still feel like he's probably a better deal. I mean, what do you think about that, Jim? Do you feel like Amari Cooper would have been a better pick, or I mean, obviously he was off the board, but I mean, would you have selected Cooper over White? I mean, right now seems like the guy for Chicago.
First, I would select Cooper before White any time of the day. Cooper's the better route runner.
Yeah.
He may not be explosive, but you know that what you see is what you get.
Sure.
There's always down. Right. Exactly. For the Bears, I'm an old school guy. I think you stick to your board, at least in their situation. I was never one to think they would take a wide receiver with this first pick. I know it's a wide receiver has been mocked to them before. I think they should stick with Danny Shelton. They need a nose tackle in this 3-4 defense. One of the aspects of their defense, which has been horrific the last 2 seasons, is their rush defense. Mm-hmm. And without a guy like Henry Melton to sort of shut down running backs as well as press the pocket in passing situations, they've just done horribly. So why would you take a risk? I'd say take Danny Shelton.
Yeah. Apparently the Bears pick is in already.
So there's somebody there that they wanted that they're just
they were sure
going to get him.
They knew.
And good for Ryan Grigg.
Pace.
Yeah, Ryan Pace. I mean, this is a guy where he's coming into his first gig as a GM, and everything he's done to this point, he's been fairly confident. Like he hasn't shown much sway in any of his decisions. Everything he's come out and said. I mean, and we having been, lived through everything just what happened in Chicago here with Phil Emery and all that. Those guys seem confident too, but I feel when you add a guy like John Fox, with a guy like Ryan Pace, I think that they might, have enough in common, both with the New Orleans background and everything else, that they might be able to get along a little bit better and be able to get on the same page a lot sooner. And, hopefully all of that would eventually translate into, kind of piecing this ball club together and kind of figuring out what you have. But this is a very big pig for Ryan here. I mean, we don't want to know what Virginia thinks about this, right? I mean, apparently she calls the shots, her and George.
Oh no, this is Ryan Pace's gig right now.
This is his pick. This is his moment.
Remember, the first pick in the Phil Emery era was Shea McClellan. So,
dude, don't even remind me about that. That's absolutely disgusting. They're still figuring out where the hell they're going to put that guy. And you talked earlier about that second contract. That's a guy that's not getting one here. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah, it'll be very, very interesting.
Yeah, and and so you go with a guy like Danny Shelton. It's a new staff, new scheme. At least in terms of personnel, it's almost essentially a complete overhaul for the most part. But they're in rebuild mode on the defensive side of the ball. It just all comes about. I'm one of the firm believers in terms of building up a solid front on both sides of the ball, whether it be defense or offense. You still want a solid front line to kind of set the tone for everything else. And adding a guy like a defensive tackle like Danny Shelton, he's a great guy. And adding Nick Fangio, I mean, that was probably one of the best acquisitions this team could have made. Yeah, sure, bringing in John Fox, and that's the only thing that gives me confidence. I'm not saying they're going to the Super Bowl, but I give them a little bit more of a benefit of a doubt, knowing that John Fox is there, knowing that Vic Fangio's there. These are all guys that have been around, they're super experienced, and know what they want out of a ball club. And for the most part, with as much time that they put into it, they know how to get that out of their players. Being a coach, I can talk from experience. You need to know whether to pat a guy in the ass or kick him in the ass. It's one or the other. And I think a guy like John Fox and Vic Fangio, they're guys that know whether to kick or to kiss.
Here we go.
All right, the pick is
in.
in.
Here we go.
I like how Keith is just waiting for us to say that we know what's coming.
Yeah, I've known for like 2 minutes now.
Oh, I'm sure you have.
I think I'm doing a good job showing restraint, being how much of a Bears fan I am.
There we go, Kevin White. Oh, and the fans go nuts.
Wide receiver.
There it is, wide receiver Kevin White, who gives Jay Cutler a bona fide extra-target to replace Brandon Marshall.
I gotta tell you, if good old jerkface Jay Cutler didn't have enough excuses to this point, I mean, here's another one for you, brother. I mean, if you can't get it done, adding a guy like Kevin White to that offense, no more backing him up. I'm telling you, I'm off the bandwagon. I've been a guy that's been, always, listen, it's Jay. The talent is there. The guy can do it. He has the confidence, and that makes you feel more comfortable having him back there. Yeah, it makes you feel more comfortable having him back there. But, you add a guy like Kevin White, I mean, that's your last chance, man. I mean, if Jay can't get it done here, he's out of town. I mean, Keith, what do you think? Are you surprised, with this pick? I mean, honestly, a lot of people were thinking Danny Shelton, right?
Well, like Jim said earlier, and I agreed with him on Monday night as well, you can't ignore the fact that the Bears' defense was so atrocious.
Yeah, it's been a hallmark.
So
forever.
maybe Pace is trying to trade into the back end and get a defensive player in the back end of the first round. Who knows? We'll have to wait and see on that. But to get Kevin White to go along with Alshon Jeffrey, I think it became a necessity when they traded Brandon Marshall. Now ask yourselves this. With as bad as that Bears defense is, they went and made a trade which made wide receiver a priority in the draft. How bad must Brandon Marshall have been in that locker room last year?
Oh, no, absolutely, no doubt Brandon Marshall was an issue. At least it was just too much of a, you talk about distractions all the time in pro sports, and they're letting them talk. I love it.
No.
I think that's a good pick, but like you said, knowing that they made it a priority by getting rid of Brandon Marshall, that was out of necessity. That guy was, you talk about cancers and guys that are a headache in the locker room and distractions. That's exactly what he was. I mean, you look at his career, he's never lasted more than 3 years anywhere, and it's all because, it becomes so focused on him, and he just can't get off that, and it becomes an issue for everybody. I mean, you have that buddy that is drunk all the time that you have to watch over and take care of. You don't want to take care of that guy. You don't want to watch over him. You don't want to back him up, knowing that he's probably the guy that's wrong or knowing that he probably did something.
Right.
You don't want that. You want to be going out there, doing your job, knowing your role, doing your job, earning your money. You know what I mean? And when you have a guy like Brandon Marshall around, I mean, it takes your brain off of that. And you got families, you got all sorts of things that kind of come into the equation here. And so, Brandon Marshall had to go, and a guy like Kevin White, because I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not sure, that the Bears have the guys that are going to be able to step up right away. I mean, you worry, a little bit about, moving up Alshon Jeffrey. Is he going to be your number one guy? I love Alshon Jeffrey, but you don't want him to be your number one. He needs to be someone that's kind of stepping off to the side. Now, adding a guy like Kevin White, it almost negates that, whether he's one or two. It doesn't matter, but the fact remains there's another threat offensively there, and another guy that fits right into what Jay Cutler wants. So here it is. It's right in front of your face. Go do it now,
Yeah.
And, I mean, I feel like the Bears, probably from this point on, moving forward, with the 39th pick, the 71st, the 106th, 142nd, and 183rd pick, you would almost assume that the Bears are going to be focusing on that defensive side of the football, and I wouldn't be surprised if they move the number 39 pick, like Jim was talking about, just the other night when we did our mock draft. When it comes up that 39th pick, maybe the 71st, you're moving back. You want to pick up a couple extra picks, give yourself a couple extra chances to bring somebody in here that fits your scheme. And that's just kind of something that they're dealing with, and I'm with them. I'm not going to knock Ryan Pace for going Kevin White here.
No, I know. I totally agree. Hey, well, while we're in the intermission here for a second, while the TV is at a commercial, let's take a quick break. Let's take a quick break and catch our breath, refill our beverages, and we'll be right back with the Fantasy Greeks NFL Draft first round coverage, live coverage here on LateNightSportsRadio.com.
Something shines in your eyes tonight.
Who the hell can wait till morning? Talk now at latenightsportsradio.com.
The Fantasy Greeks NFL Draft first round coverage live as it happens. While we're at break, the Falcons pick just came in and announced, and it's linebacker Vic Beasley to the Atlanta Falcons. So new coach Dan Quinn goes defense, gets a pass rusher. Do we love the pick, guys, or is anybody there? Is anybody even there? I'm all by my lonesome, I believe. But hey, you know what? You look at the Atlanta Falcons last year. Where did they rank pass rush? They were the fourth worst pass rush team at Pro Football Focus. The Colts, Cardinals, and Bengals were the only teams worse in that category. So they go out and they get an instant contributor, somebody that can make a difference almost immediately. So with the new regime in Atlanta, you know, they also needed help at running back, but again, there's really only two names here, and you know they may be able to get that at the top end of the second round. This was clearly their biggest.
So here we go, Vic
need.
Beasley, huh?
Yeah, I was in the middle of breaking it down since nobody was here when we came back from break, but that's okay.
You know, I have to apologize for that. It was all my fault.
Hey, so I'm just saying, I love the pick because it was a need of them. They need to pressure the quarterback. Dan Quinn, coming from Seattle, you know what he's all about, and he gets a rusher.
I think it's a great pick. I mean, you know, if you're going to go defense, Vic Beasley, he certainly could have been drafted before the 8th pick. So, I mean, you're getting great value. Great value.
Yeah. Somebody to play like the Bruce Irvin role, as everybody's saying right now. So now the Giants are on the clock.
This will be interesting.
In our mock draft, we had Brandon Scherf going here in this spot.
Yep.
But he's already off the board. So, you know, the Giants, you know, what were they really good and really bad at last year? They were really bad at run blocking. They were really bad on defending the run. They need help in the secondary as well. Do we see the first corner go in this draft at this point? They do need offensive line help to a degree. Jim, if you're the Giants, where would you go?
Well, I've looked at the Giants and thought to myself they need an offensive lineman, which is why I felt that. Well, first I didn't think Brian Scherf would go to the Redskins, and I figured he would fall to the Giants. They would pick up a player like him because he's such a utility player. He can play almost the entire offensive line in the pros. You know, I'd like to see them stay with the offensive line. They may take an offensive tackle and try and convert him into a guard, or possibly put him in at left tackle and move Will Beatty over. I mean, Will Beatty, he's not getting any younger.
Yeah. So is this Eric Flowers maybe?
Eric Flowers would be an option at this point. He definitely would be an option at this point. Another player would be Andrus Peat.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, this shouldn't be a sexy pick. We shouldn't see them running out and, let's say, drafting Devontae Parker or Melvin Gordon or anything like that. Oh, hey, Johnny's back.
Yeah, dude, I gotta walk like 15 flights of stairs, dude, just to smoke a cigarette. So if I didn't take the air out of me enough, I just did it now. I ran up those stairs, and I got these low top pointy shoes, man. People make fun of me. They look like elf shoes a little bit, but you know what? Yeah, see, Jim, those are elf shoes a little bit, but I'm okay with it because they're nice, and I like the sharp pointed shoes. That's my girlfriend. My girlfriend there. I gotta tell you, man, I love that line in what is it, Birdcage, where the guy that does all the voices, he does Sideshow Bob, everything on Seinfeld or on The Simpsons.
Yeah.
And he goes, I don't wear shoes. I fall down. And they make me fall down. I love it, man.
Hank Azaria.
Yes. I love that guy. I can never remember his name. He used to be married to Helen Hunt. I think they got divorced, right?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, so what? We're looking at Atlanta? Are they still on the board?
No,
here?
Atlanta took Beasley, Vic Beasley.
What?
Giants.
Giants are on the board right now. We're thinking offensive line for them.
Yeah, and I mean, Eli's coming up on a contract year here. I mean, I'm not really sure, what's going to happen here. He bounced back a little bit last year. Ended up having a really good, at least, statistics year last season with Ben McAdoo playing in his offense. Thanks, sir. But I mean, do you think right now to this point, I mean, the Giants really aren't bending over backwards to kind of meet his needs and find the right guy for him? What are they going to do? I mean, Coughlin acknowledged, there's no guarantee Cruz is going to be ready for week 1. That patellar tendon recovery, it's going to take a long time. It's one of those things that kind of sticks around a little bit. Ruben Randall, he closed out the season strong, with back-to-back 100-yard performances. But when it really comes down to it, the Giants, I mean, they might still have some issues. And I feel like they need to add a little bit of insurance there for Cruz here in the draft. I mean, who are they going to go for? I mean, do you think they're going to possibly go for another wide receiver? I mean, when it really comes down to it, you look at the wide receivers. Amari Cooper's off the board. Kevin White's off the board. Those are your 2 top guys. I mean, now you're looking at Devontae Parker, Sammy Coates, Nelson, Angler. You're also looking at Jalen. So I mean, we have all sorts of guys here, at least in terms of wide receivers. That really deep draft, to be honest with you. Keith, what do you think about that? I mean, do you think they're going to address wide receiver? I mean, Devontae Parker's right there. I mean, when you're looking at Our Lads, I mean, this guy over at OurLads.com, phenomenal stuff, excellent website. He has his own ratings, his own statistics. And we all know, because I'm a big baseball guy, so obviously statistics are huge. But when it comes down to it, it's still really hard to determine kind of how to work out the right numbers and figuring out who's the best guy when it comes down to football. But I feel like Our Lads is kind of ahead of the trend a little bit, just knowing that it's a true scout that's running the site and a true scout that's giving these guys the grades. Jim, now you're back here. I mean, what do you think? I mean, are they going to go with Devontae Parker?
No.
Is it wide receiver, or are they going to address some other needs?
Wide receiver is not a need for the Giants.
You don't think? I mean, with Cruz, I mean, being uncertain,
who
else is he going to go to?
Odell Beckham Jr.?
Yeah. Is that enough, though?
Yes.
I mean, don't you need some more?
Yeah. Between Cruz, Beckham, and Randall, you've got 3 good wide receivers there. You don't need to draft in the first round a wide receiver.
All right, well, what about safety then? You thinking about safety at all? I mean, now?
They could definitely go secondary.
They could.
Yeah.
I still like them for the offensive line, if only because Will Beatty's not getting any younger. John Jerry's in at left guard, and I'm not sure that that's the guy that you want to hang your hat on. We've got Weston Richburg at center, same issue. Jeff Schwartz right guard, and then you got Justin Pugh right tackle. Pugh seems like he might actually be a better guard than a tackle, which is why, since Brandon Scherf is gone, I mean, they could look at Eric Flowers, they could look at Andres Pete. And I suppose that the way this draft is going, hey, if they took a wide receiver, be par for the course.
Yeah, right. How about that? I mean, you even look at defensive tackle. I mean, second-year player Jonathan Hopkins had a really great year. Ended up stepping up in a huge way. Somebody that was able to kind of step in place for Lionel Joseph. But with him leaving for Minnesota, I mean, Hankins, he's pretty much looking like the next defensive lineman right now. Outside of that, I mean, he needs a running mate. There's no one else to help him out defensive tackle on the other side. You have Cullen Jenkins. He's 34 years old. I mean, he gave up over more than 135 rushing yards a game last year in terms of what the Giants did. I feel like defensive tackle's got to be a place where they at least put a little bit of focus, right?
Have they announced? Because I lost my feed. I'm trying to reload it right here. Have they announced the draft pick yet? Because I know what it was.
Not that I'm looking at. I have not seen it come across the.
I haven't seen it come across.
Yeah, I mean, primarily for them, I was looking at Andres Pete. I mean, we talked a little about adding a receiver, but, they don't they love taking athletic defensive linemen. You know what I mean? You got a guy like Randy Gregory there. I feel like he's maybe obviously a little bit of a scare for them at this point. Where they're probably going to avoid that. So you had Andres Pete right there from Stanford. I just feel like they're going to add that offensive lineman, and add number 10, Brandon Sheriff, he's off the board. And in terms of, Pete, he's really the only remaining left tackle prospect on the board at this point, that's actually worth, drafting that up, that high. And so when you always round it out, man, it's up to that top 10. Who's going to round off the top 10 here, Keith? What do you think? Do you think they're going with a guy like Pete? I mean, already, so probably shouldn't ask. You jerk. I mean, we got Jerry Reese. He's been around for 8 years now to this point. But, the run of finishing over 500, that ended in 2013.
I think you guys may have missed the pick because the NFL app just notified me. So I think it's public knowledge. It's Eric Flowers, the tackle.
Eric Flowers, yeah. I picked him the other day. No, I felt that, he's really able to, contribute quite a bit. Again, it's one of those guys where, he's not necessarily just versatile, where you're looking to find a position where, he can fit. He actually fits in a variety of positions, and it's up to you to make the decision where he's going to fit best and where he's going to help your team the most. And he's comfortable moving around if he has to.
Yeah. Now the Rams are on the clock. Where do the Rams go?
The Rams got all sorts of things, man. I mean, probably their number one issue, obviously they need a quarterback, but, they need something to add on the offensive line. They need, some other weapons in the passing game. I mean, to this point, I'm not sure what you expect to, get out of Kenny Britt at this point. I mean, 48 catches, 16 games played was relatively disappointing for a first-round pick when they ended up going with the first round butt to Von Austin. That's
15-minute warning to the raffle.
Do you feel, maybe they're going to
we should do the raffle
here?
Okay.
Yeah, we're doing a raffle because we got to raise a lot of money for Wits because Wits is awesome. That's what we're doing. We're here broadcasting live from the Cubby Bear in Chicago, right across from Wrigley Field. I can see the cranes from where I sit. And I'm literally looking at the marquee, which is phenomenal. It literally takes up the entire window that I'm looking through right now. And it's a great organization. They do a lot in terms of helping kids enjoy learning. And that's something Wits has been great with finding the right people to kind of help support that cause. I mean, Jim, how did you get necessarily, directly involved with Wits? Because obviously, you were in the law degree, you did all that fun stuff. But getting in touch with Wits, how did that happen?
Well, Johnny, the short of it is, it's friends of friends, and you get invited to different events, and you get to start meeting people that work there, and that's sort of what it is. And I can safely say that we're friends with some of the people that are the higher ups over there at Wits, and we know they do good work. They work hard, and their cause is righteous, and we like to support those kinds of things where we can.
All right, the Rams.
And I love
St. Louis Rams take Todd Gurley, running back.
Todd Gurley, wow, yeah, no, that's absolutely surprising. I mean, obviously, Gurley was always going to be a question mark, but to see him actually come off the board here now. I mean, how do you feel about that, Jim? I mean, it was Gurley or Melvin Gordon. I mean, do you pick Gurley over Gordon?
I think for the scheme, Gurley's fine. I'm just really stunned that the Rams invested another draft pick in a running back, as opposed to another draft pick in a wide receiver, which is something that they need more help with. You just can't keep sitting there and sort of repeating yourself without actually advancing the team, because this Rams team, besides their defense, they're missing something, and it's a quarterback first, wide receiver second, running back would not have been at the top of my list. And besides that, with the fleet-footed Nick Foles, I would think you'd invest in your offensive line.
Yeah, no, I'm kind of with you on that because they were definitely a team that needed a right guard, needed a right tackle, needed a center, needed a wide receiver. I mean, you look at all those different positions where they need help on the offensive side of the ball, and Les Snead goes with a running back, Todd Gurley. I mean, maybe he just felt more comfortable going with a guy that felt like he had a higher ceiling, than some of these other people. I mean, now, what do you think, Keith? Are you surprised with the fact that, Todd Gurley went so high? I mean, let alone the fact that the Rams picked a running back, but with Gurley, going out as quickly as he did, does that shock you at all?
Yeah, I didn't see running back as that big of a need for them. I mean,
I have it on my list, but
what about Trey Mason now? You know what I mean? Trey Mason showed flashes last year.
Right.
You're ready to cut. You're obviously ready to cut bait on Trey Mason. And so I don't know.
See,
I just
think.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was going to say I think the way that the Rams run their draft is best player on the board, and if Gurley's there, that's who they're taking. I mean, it's really difficult to explain it otherwise, because if you look at their actual depth chart, you might think they would approach this a little bit differently.
Well, yeah, I mean, especially looking at the fact that, I mean, you have Jake Fisher available still, an offensive tackle out of Oregon. When I'm looking at my Our Lads scouting services report here, he has him rated a little bit higher than Gurley. I mean, they're one right above one another. But again, Melvin Gordon, he's in front of Jake Fisher, who's in front of Todd Gurley. I mean, how do you feel about that, Jim? I mean, I know you focus a lot on this great rating index that they have out on Our Lads. Would you have gone with the offensive tackle, or I mean, is the running back, probably the best fit, I guess?
For the Rams, I had them pegged to take Amari Cooper because they need an answer there. They have yet to find a quality X or Y receiver in their offense, so you might as well just get that under your belt and then turn to the offensive line in the next round. But running back was not it. They had Trey Mason, Zach Stacy, Benny Cunningham, Isaiah Pied. They even have two more backups behind them. So, where are we going? Where are we going with all this?
You also pretty much could have taken any of the 5 offensive line positions and addressed the need as well. They were horrific with pass blocking last year. They did not have one single offensive lineman in the top 20 rated at each position on Pro Football Focus. That was a glaring need, not running back.
Yeah, Nick Foles they're going to be in trouble if they can't protect Nick Foles next season.
Yep. Agreed. So now the Vikings are on the clock.
Wow, Todd Gurley to the Rams. Huh.
Shocker, right?
Yeah, I mean, seriously.
Because,
you could look at teams and say, here's their top 3 needs. And any one of those top 3 needs could be selected with the first pick, and then they'll turn to the next 2 needs in the second and third round. But when you actually draft outside the top 3 needs, that's strange.
Look at this. Here it is. Next pick. The Vikings.
Trey Waynes,
cornerback.
There he goes.
Look at that. And see, I like Trey Waynes a lot. Just knowing what he provides you at that position. Obviously, I still feel like Kevin Jones might be the more guy. It might be the more prospect that's probably, more NFL ready. But in terms of what he's able to provide you, being able to be garner significant action, man. He was great as a sophomore. Standout corner. I feel like he does have the potential and the ability to be that shutdown corner opposite of somebody. You know what I mean? And when you're looking at Minnesota, not very much depth there at cornerback.
Yeah. They looking at the Vikings as I.
Well, I mean, at the moment right now, cornerback. I mean, they're not looking at much. They're looking at Terrence Newman. They're looking at Chad Greenway. And then behind them, I mean, it pretty much all falls apart between Brandon Watts and Captain McGovern.
Captain Munnerlin?
Yeah, whatever the hell. Whatever, man. You couldn't even say the name of one of your draft picks the other night. So I mean,
you go ahead and try to say that.
A little bit of credit
I
here.
want you to go pronounce that name right now.
Rick Spielman.
Right. So
you made the pick though, man. It's not a bad decision. I mean, I liked him a lot. Honest to God, like I probably with the losses that the Bears took, I'm surprised they didn't go with Trey Waynes, ahead of the Vikings.
The Vikings were another team that needed offensive line attention as well. Ryan Khalil was atrocious last year.
Matt Khalil at left tackle. Yeah. Oh my God, that guy is just falling apart as the years go on. It's just steep decline, man.
You got to keep Bridgewater upright. So
yeah, well, I mean that's the entire key to that offense. You know what I mean? And knowing what they're gonna whatever the hell's gonna happen with Adrian Peterson, who knows? But I feel like obviously it's a deep enough draft we can find another guy. But having someone be able to help to protect on that front line, you can't afford to have Teddy Bridgewater just take as many hits as he is and just not being comfortable. The only way Teddy Bridgewater is ever going to succeed is with a lower amount of pressure.
Zach Stacy apparently tweeted "Yikes" at the announcement of Todd Gurley.
I think we can all sympathize. Wow.
I see on Twitter that GM Ryan Pace is going to begin his press conference, so apparently there's no option to trade back into the last part of the second round if he's already holding a press conference. Is that how I can read that?
No, I mean, maybe that's just a stupid secession on their behalf. I mean, that's one of those things where you might want to hide that a little bit longer. You know what I mean? Maybe a rookie mistake as a GM. I don't feel like you take yourself that far out of the game that quickly, in terms of making that announcement.
I don't know. I just don't know.
All right, boys. I think it's Danny Shelton we're looking at on this next pick.
For the Browns?
Yes.
If they take Melvin Gordon, does that count because I drafted Todd Gurley to them Monday night?
I don't see them taking Melvin Gordon. If they do that, it'd be the second biggest, worst draft pick today. Hold on one second.
Yeah, and I just feel like the Browns, and honestly, when you're looking at it, probably their number one need. They have 2 number 1 round picks. Okay, so we're looking at the number 12 spot, which is what they're sitting at right now. Then they have the number 19, and then they draft again early for the rest of the draft. Number 11, number 13, number 12, 16, 11, 13, 26, and 12. So obviously there are plenty of picks, and just knowing how many issues that the Browns have at defensive tackle, at defensive end, after you get outside of those 2 major issues on offense, everything else focuses on defense. They could use an inside linebacker. They can use some help on the defensive line. But when you're looking at probably one of the things that keeps popping up on my radar is the fact that they need a wide receiver. I mean, obviously all the issues that Josh Gordon has caused them to this point, it's a major need. And obviously it's a little bit deeper draft at receiver, but they had a couple solid rotational guys. Andrew Hawkins is there. Taylor Gabriel, he's around. And then they end up signing, veteran Brian Hartline, Dwayne Bowe. But, they're still lacking that number 1 receiver to stretch things out. And I mean, Keith, I don't know how much research, that you've done into the Devontae Parker, Sammy Coates, Nelson Angler, Jalen Strong. These are all guys I feel could go a little bit higher. I have them in my higher tier of wide receivers. Do you feel like that's something they're going to address? Or are they going to work on the defense? Obviously, they got a couple picks here in the first round, so they can kind of have their pick and choose, right?
If you're going to go, Jim doesn't want to agree with me that they could upgrade at running back, but they could. But Melvin Gordon probably isn't the pick here. Danny Shelton would make sense. They need help on the front 7 defensively. And on offense, really, this is going to sound silly and stupid and like Captain Obvious, but a good quarterback or decent quarterback masks a lot of deficiencies offensively, and they just don't have that yet. But I don't think that they are ready to call it quits on
Manziel?
Johnny Manziel by any stretch of the imagination. How do I feel about Johnny Manziel?
Do you feel like Manziel actually has a chance to kind of snap out of whatever the hell he's doing right now? And he's going through rehab, kind of, walking through all the motions, going through it all. Do you feel like he actually might be able to be a contributor, or do you think he's just going to straight up be one of the biggest busts in NFL history in terms of the draft?
I don't think you can say that just yet. I mean, I don't think we've really seen Johnny Manziel. I mean,
there's no hope, though. I mean, you haven't seen any hope. There's no reason. He hasn't given you any.
Yeah, but you know what? If he was indeed so distracted by being the party boy that we all think he is off the field, you haven't really seen him apply himself yet. So, and whether he will or not, I don't know. He could be more of this. It could just be more of the same of what we saw last year, which was very underwhelming. Like you said, no hope. But
people love your point here. Everyone's listening, and they love your point.
Oh, yeah. I love the round of applause. Can I get a recording of that? I want to make it my ringtone.
As long as you put it on the soundboard that we can,
Yeah.
I'm on this.
I can't even hear you right now.
Yeah,
I can hear Jim the MC emceeing in the back, which this is probably as good a time as any to take another break. So another 4 minutes off the clock. We'll be right back. You're listening to the Fantasy Greeks live coverage of the NFL Draft Round 1 on LateNightSportsRadio.com.
Lost or found love, lying by your side. Take another second to keep breathing in the moment before it's gone. You never know when love is lost until you find just what it costs to be wrong. Think of me passing by, you think you see me coming. I wonder if you pull me in, kiss me just one time again. Cause in the final hours of night, do you remember? Lost or found, love lying by your side. Coming and the nights will keep on going till they're tired, falling fast asleep and as they dream of ghosts of beats filled with desire. The chance of life is all around, a chance to take is always found. Writing on the lullabies, I'm alone and living life. Do you remember? Lost or found, love lying by your side. In the final hours of night, do you remember? Lost or found, love lying by your side. Take another second. Until you find just what it costs to be wrong. I wonder if you think of me passing by, you think you see me coming. I wonder if you pull me in, kiss me just one time again. The final hours of night, do you remember? Lost or found, love lying by your side. In the final hours of night, do you remember? Lost or found, love lying by your side. In the final
Who the hell can wait till morning? Talk now at latenightsportsradio.com.
TheFantasyGreek.com's NFL draft coverage of the first round, live as it happens, folks. 585-633-7487 if you want to talk draft with us. Give us a call. Hang out on the line. Jim Sarantias from TheFantasyGreek.com and John Malores from 87sportsfans.com are at the Cubby Bear in Chicago, raising money for WIDS working in the schools to benefit Chicago area schools. And I am going to be holding down the fort by myself as they handle all the festivities with the raffles and everything right there. If you are in the Chicago area, head on down. Sounds like a good time. So the last pick that we know of is the Cleveland Browns taking Danny Shelton. And, you know, it's not if you're the Browns, your glaring need is really a need for consistent quarterback play. But you did that last year. You spent your high profile pick on Johnny Manziel, and whether you like it or not, you're not in a position to give up yet. I know he has not made it easy on you, Browns fans. I get that, but at the same time, you don't waste a first round pick by cutting him loose a year after he played after half a season. So the Saints are on the clock now. And, you know, the New Orleans Saints last year really, really regressed on defense. Atrocious. Secondary is probably their number one need. After that, offensive tackle. They really struggled with pass blocking last year. You know, trying to see where their corners fell out last year. They did not have a corner in the top 40 at Pro Football Focus. And, you know, the safety, a lot of things were expected from Jarius Byrd coming over, but that didn't happen for obvious reasons. Kenny Vaccaro did not underwhelm to say the least. So really, you know, if I'm Sean Payton and the Saints, I'm either taking somebody in the secondary or somebody from my offensive line. And it looks like the pick is in, and the Saints have selected offensive tackle Andres Pete from Stanford, which makes sense. They really struggled protecting Drew Brees. And let's be honest here, kids. Drew Brees is not getting any younger. He's getting towards the end of that spectrum. So keeping him upright is crucial if you want to take any advantage of this closing window that Brees has. So I love this pick. I think it was the right player at the right time, and you tip your cap to organizations that seem to get it and do it right. So that puts the Dolphins on the clock, and Melvin Gordon right now is going to be the hot name right now. Running back, the Dolphins right now riding the Lamar Miller train to nowhere, pretty much. But I would expect them to go running back here. But the Saints take tackle Andres Pete. It's fantastic. The Dolphins, you know, Michael Fabiano just tweeted and makes a great point. They could also look at Devontae Parker here, wide receiver. Tannehill needs targets. You know, last year their best wide receiver was Jarvis Landry. Mike Wallace is gone, so it's you know, Brian Hartline didn't play that well, and he's gone as well. So it'll be very interesting to see where the Dolphins go here. To me, you know, and I've said this before, and people tell me I'm crazy because I really believe you do not need a really top-notch running back. Of course, it helps if you can get one, but
they're easy to find.
You really,
especially in such a deep draft like this.
Yeah, if you have a good offensive line, you don't necessarily need an elite back. So if I'm the Dolphins, which I'm making this point, and then in the same breath, they struggled on the offensive line as well. You could invariably see them picking Melvin Gordon here. You could see them taking Devontae Parker here. You could also see them going after a cornerback. Looking at some of the names available, Marcus Peters, Kevin Johnson's out there.
Yeah, no, I'm with you, quite a bit there, especially when you're looking at, Landon Collins is still available. That's a guy. I think safety is a big issue for them. Obviously, guard and wide receiver, those are big issues. But when you look at the primary issues that are kind of holding Miami back right now, I feel a lot of it, lies in the fact they don't really have a good cornerback. Adding Brian Price, for the Pittsburgh Steelers, that's going to help a little bit. You had a guy, that was a Pro Bowler last year in Brent Grimes, and that ended up just being a rotating door. Cortland Finnegan, poor season, he retired. Third round guy, we had Jamar Williams, Will Davis. They've pretty much given them nothing to this point. And so, they would love to find somebody, at cornerback that would be able to help them. And I think there's enough room here for them to wait around and kind of address that on day 3. But, me being as focused as I am, I do a radio show in Detroit as well. A guy that moved from Detroit to Miami was Louis Delmas, okay? And this is a guy has never been able to stay healthy. He's been injured since the day I started covering him, okay? So he signed a 1-year contract in March. But regardless, they need some depth here. They lost their backup, Jimmy Wilson, to the Chargers. You had, Jordan Kovacs. He ended up, he's still an undrafted free agent in 2013, but, he's still the backup. They do need to add more depth there, and they need to add somebody at linebacker at some point. And so I feel like the Dolphins have enough room there, in terms of, what they had. They don't have a third-round pick, but they do have, the 14th pick here, the 15th in round 2, and also the 15th in round 4, and then the 13th, 14th in round 5, and the 15th pick in round 6. And so they do have plenty of options, and I think enough needs there where they can actually find something that works and kind of address quite a few of these situations. So the linebacker crew, not too bad, not a bad class. Defensive end, some guy that brings a little bit of a pass rush, they're available. You had an Ndamukong Suh, you know what I mean? That's probably the biggest thing, but it's all about adding Ndamukong and then finding how to work it out around him and around his salary. You know what I mean? And so that's why this draft is going to be crucial for the Dolphins. And so we cut the commercial. Did they make a pick here or what?
No, I haven't seen. The Dolphins have not picked yet. They are still on the clock.
Look at that. And that was honestly, I was talking a lot about their defensive issues. Those are all things they can handle in later on rounds. You're looking at wide receiver. It's a good core, but need to add a little bit, a few other guys. They essentially swapped out Mike Wallace for Kenny Stills. Good move, on a variety of fronts here, but, it ends up leaving Ryan Tannehill with a receiving core of just, Kenny Stills and Jarvis Landry. You're not going to be able to do much with that. Landry, great as a rookie, but in terms of, having a number 2 possession receiver, that's your guy. Other than that, you don't have that number 1 guy. They need somebody with a little bit of size, with a little bit of speed, someone that can play on the outside, and someone that can actually help out a little bit in terms of, what Stills is able to provide out of the slot with some speed, and just something to really attack defenses, because to this point, they just don't have it there. And I think maybe even something that would negate that, and maybe help them out a little bit in terms of, Kenny Stills finding a little bit more room and Tannehill having some more time, adding an offensive guard. the offensive tackle situation last year is not very good. You know the poor guard play was a big part of that. You know they might move Mike Pouncey. You know they might shift him back to center. You have upgrades at both guard spots are pretty much needed at this point. I mean, Billy Turner, he's ready to take over. You know, only played 17 snaps, but I feel like he's the guy, you know, that might be able to take in one of those guard spots, you know. But Lavelle Collins, you know, he's there. Brandon Sheriff, he ended up going off the list a little bit earlier, but you know, they do have some options, you know, where they're sitting right now. How do you feel about that, Keith?
Well, you know, are you looking at a TV now? Have they officially announced the trade yet, or the draft pick? It wasn't a trade.
Look at the guys in suits with their hands crossed, and the pick is apparently in. So I don't know what that means for anybody, because I haven't heard jack diddly. By the way, we're at the Cubby Bear here in Wrigleyville, in downtown Chicago, right across the street from. Here comes Mr. Goodell. But I picked up the Blood, Sweat, and Chalk book in the raffle here, but written by Tim Layden. This book rocks. I've heard everything about it. Apparently, it's amazing in terms of, you know, explaining kind of where some of these defensive, offensive schemes have originated. You know, a lot of the coaching trees, a lot of that stuff, and kind of teaches you a little bit more about the game. And those are the books I like to read. I'm big on scouting reports, and so when I get my hands on a book like this, man, I'm going crazy. So I thoroughly enjoyed that. That was a great raffle win tonight for me.
And the Dolphins take Devontae Parker, wide receiver.
What did I tell you, sir?
That's what I said, too.
Well,
it's nice when we agree. It's just nice.
Well, neither of us could be Jim, so.
Yeah, I forgot about...
Jim?
No. Well, I almost did. Well, I forgot about Greg Jennings signing with the Dolphins as well.
Yeah, Greg Jennings is there. I mean, it's not a terrible looking, you know, roster. I mean, they have Lamar Miller there and Damian Williams. You know, in terms of running back, it kind of gets thin. But again, such a deep draft. That's something they're going to be able to address with, you know, that round 2 pick. Honestly, it could even last into round 4 if they really wanted it to. I mean, you have all sorts of running backs out there. I mean, Ty Gurley's off the list, but you know, Amir Abdullah, he hasn't gone anywhere. J.I.E. You're looking at Duke Johnson, you know, T.Y. Yelton. I mean, these are all guys that are out there still. Even Tevin Coleman, you know, solid picks at the running back position, and it's been just a trend over the last several years. You know, that running backs, they're not valued as highly as quarterbacks and other positions. That's something you can find elsewhere. And when it comes to this draft, I mean, you can absolutely wait until a little bit longer before you find that guy.
Yeah, you got to give Tannehill something to work with. Mike Wallace is gone. Brian Hartline's gone.
He does have weapons for sure.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So now that puts.
I feel like he might be a little bit better though. If you do, if you know, they would have taken a guy in the first round that was. They can still address it later on, I guess. Yeah. But you know, adding a little bit of help on the offensive line, honestly, I mean, you give Tannehill a little bit of time, and I think he can be a dramatically better player because he wasn't that bad, dude. He shocked a lot of people. It wasn't last year, but the year before. You know, where I just think he came out of nowhere. People were very, you know, they felt good as Miami Dolphins fans, knowing that they had a guy that could throw the ball,
right?
You know, and make solid decisions. But if you don't give him enough time to make those solid decisions, what's the point? And apparently the Chargers have already made their pick. They weren't waiting that long at all.
They traded with the 49ers. The Chargers get the 15th overall pick. The Niners get the 17th and the 2015 4th-round pick and 2016 5th-round pick from the Chargers. So, obviously, there's somebody that the Chargers wanted at 15, and they did whatever it took to go get it, giving up 3 overall picks. So,
and I mean, who is that guy? I mean, is it Marcus Peter? I mean, Shaq Thompson out there. A lot of people have been down on Bud Dupree. I think Bud Dupree could be one of the most underrated guys coming out of this draft. what is the point behind this, man? Why is San Diego bumping up like this? This is crazy.
They needed offensive line help, something awful. They need a running back. Maybe they thought they want Melvin Gordon that bad. I don't know. This is I'm trying to think of who's available that would warrant going hard up the draft, because after that there's a drop off. You know what I mean? You're afraid of not waiting for your pick because you just moved up 2 picks. So who are you afraid of, either the 49ers or the Texans taking, that you had your eye on?
Right. Oh, God. That's super interesting. Like, again, man, it's one of those deals you thought maybe they might go for that quarterback move. They might end up, trying to get themselves into a position where they can pick a guy like Mariota. But when you look at it, they need a running back. That's one of the biggest things. I mean, Melvin Gordon. Okay.
It is. Running back Melvin Gordon.
Makes plenty of sense. No, it does. I mean, when you look at it, they had outward confidence in terms of the front office and Brandon Oliver and Donald Brown. It's all BS. I mean, they need to address the position early. Find a Melvin Gordon. Honestly, man, that was a smart pick. Again, what did they give up for that? They gave up Jamar Charles for that, or what?
No. What do you mean? Say that again.
I just saw Jamar Charles and Melvin Gordon come up on my screen at the same time, so I didn't know what.
Jamal Charles is a Chief, so they just traded draft picks. San Diego gave up 3 draft picks to get that 1 pick because they wanted Melvin Gordon. So maybe they believe the Texans were going to go running back to back up like the next Arian Foster. I don't know. I don't know why you would move up. Unless you believe that the 49ers were going to take him, which they have been rumored. The 49ers were rumored to be looking for a running back.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking, almost for sure they're going, on the defensive side of the ball with San Francisco. And Houston, again, and another defensive guy, Lionel Collins. I mean, I didn't see that happening. And I can't see why they would, make that move to get that high up. I mean, he's jacked right now. He's so excited. Nobody gave the commissioner a bigger hug than your man right there. I'll tell you that. No, he was excited. Look at that. He was so smiling. He put on that hat. That's what I'm telling you. That's that moment. That moment we were talking earlier on the show where it was like, you only have it so many times. You got to step up and, you can't short yourself out of that opportunity to have that feeling. I just feel like, man, he really got on it. That was great. He enjoyed it.
So now another wrinkle here now, because both running backs are off the board before the Cowboys could pick.
Hey, you got it.
Do they start talking about trading for Adrian Peterson?
Yeah. Honestly, we talked about, just the premium that they set on running backs at this point. I just don't think that, that's really something that it's worth making that move. I mean, yeah, sure, AP is obviously amazing. But, all the distractions, all the time off, maybe it helped them. You know what I mean? Knowing that running backs is such a grind. I'm just not sure that, I would make a move and waste it on a running back knowing how deep the class is. I mean, to this point, you get all sorts of guys out there that are still available that are running backs. Why would you do that? Just like I said, again, knowing that you have other things that you could be focusing on. In Kansas City's position, I mean, you look at wide receiver, offensive tackle, cornerback. Those are all major issues of concern.
And fantasy Greek writer Sammy Bissett is predicting that either Dupree, Peters, or Collins from LSU for the Texans here at this pick with the Texans on the clock.
Really? We got the Texans here. Man, they screwed all my stuff up here, man. I got everything in line. Everything's all messed up now.
Yeah.
It's fine. That's all it takes is one trade to screw everything up for everybody.
But I don't understand that trade unless they really believe it had to be they believe the 49ers were going to take him if he was there. That had to be it.
Yeah. No, I mean, that could have been the only thing in their brain at that point.
Because the Texans, I said it, but I don't really believe the Texans were going to take a running back. So if you
I mean, if anything, they're looking to replace Andre Johnson. I mean, they have no number one receiver. You have DeAndre Hopkins. he's kind of more of a burden than anything. I mean, he progressed nicely a little bit, but in terms of what the team needs, they need that number one guy. You let Hopkins continue to progress as much as he can at that number 2 spot, but I mean, you need to add another option there.
Yeah.
I mean, initially, I'm gonna flip through one of my papers here. I had them picking Shane Ray, going with the outside linebacker. Ran into some issues a little bit further on down the line there in terms of stuff off the field. And trying to clear his name a little bit. But when it came down to it, the foot surgery thing, that might have held him back quite a bit. And so between the marijuana and the foot problems, I still feel what he's able to provide you on the field, you got to go with a guy like Shane Ray. I mean, he is an impact player, explosive pass rusher, and knowing that, sure, they do need a wide receiver, they need a cornerback, inside linebacker, outside linebacker. I mean, it's all things that are, dwelling around your secondary and in your secondary where you're completely unstable, and you need to find a way to kind of solidify that quite a bit here. And I think a guy like Shane Ray, he'd be able to do it. And like I said, just knowing that he strikes fear in guys, they're watching where he's at. I mean, Jadeveon Clowney, he ended up having the knee work down a little bit, but you add a guy like Ray, good chance he could be that spark plug for you. He's super dangerous in the pass rush. His first step is always amazing, and I honestly, in terms of, him and Vic Beasley, I feel he might be a little bit quicker, man. If it fits a little bit better in that 3-4, edge rushing scheme, especially considering the fact that Devontae Parker's already out of the draw here. But I'm definitely going with Shane Ray on this. I mean, I feel like that would be the best pick for them and the best, not only the best player available, but also best need that need to be filled.
We are joined on the line by FantasyGreek.com writer Ben Franklin. Ben, how are you tonight?
I'm doing pretty good. Just taking in all these picks.
Yeah, right. What did you think of the Chargers trade? It seems totally unnecessary to me.
I think they were worried that the Texans were going to get him, but
right.
Yeah, I mean, they gave up 3 picks to move 2 spots. Seems like a big risk for what was probably going to be there anyway.
Yeah, and that's kind of my biggest beef with that is just knowing that pick was probably already going to be available to you. What can you even see? What was their threat? With those extra 2 picks that could have been sitting there where they were scared enough to make the move and to sacrifice as much as they did.
I think it was a panic move. I mean,
sure.
They were like, oh my gosh, I didn't expect him to go this early. Is he going to fall to us in 2 picks? We got to do something about it now. And they overreacted a little bit.
Yeah, and I'm with you on that, man. I mean, you look at what Jamie Roots has been able to do. Rick Smith, you got to figure it out. And what's their pick? Kevin Johnson, quarterback. There it is.
That blows.
Honestly, no. You know what though? Why do you think that, Ben? Because I feel like Kevin.
I flipped. I initially wanted Kevin Johnson, but I looked at him a little more, and now hearing the Marcus Peters isn't even on the Cowboys board anymore. I think Byron Jones is the better fit. I mean, he just seems more NFL ready than Kevin Johnson does.
And see, you think that because, from everything I was reading, everything I was looking into, it seemed like Kevin was probably the guy that was most NFL ready. I saw him number 1 on several boards over Trey Wayans. Just knowing that he has a bunch of those tools that are typical of your starting cornerback. I mean, a guy that can match up against the number 1, shut him down, and someone that you feel confident in. You don't like this pick? I mean, that kind of breaks my heart a little bit because I was big on Kevin Johnson.
I like it. When I saw him at the Cowboys, the Cowboys did the same thing with Morris Claiborne. They moved up to get a number 1. This guy that was supposed to be all super potential, and that obviously didn't work out. So I think they're better taking a little more of a safer pick rather than the higher upside. So
I'm with you on that. And that's kind of been a struggle, I think, for pretty much most of the day here. It's just, what's your number one pick? What's your number one need? And, who's the top guy left on the board? And obviously, they went for need rather than, number one on the board.
Which it seems like most of these teams are doing, too.
Yeah. What I don't get about the Texans pick is that they were pretty good in the secondary last year. You got Kareem Jackson and Jonathan Joseph. DJ Swearinger at safety. Raheem Moore at free safety. I just don't see this as a need pick. It kind of goes along with the Rams taking Todd Gurley. You have other needs. You have offensive line issues.
You know what I bet it is? I bet they didn't want to take off the last name on Andre Johnson's locker, so they just drafted Kevin Johnson.
That makes total sense to me. Total sense.
You're calling that one,
absolutely. So now apparently, so Kareem Jackson moves to the nickelback position. Kevin Johnson will start opposite Jonathan Joseph. So it'll be interesting. You think about the Texans division now, trying to think what might motivate them. They play in the same division as the Colts and Andrew Luck.
And you're gonna keep pace with them because right now the Colts are serious. Okay, you bring in Grigson, and you got everything. I'm sorry. Go ahead. What were we saying?
Nothing. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Yeah. No. I feel like they are making the move forward right now. They're looking for a guy that's going to be able to, come in and contribute. They signed so many veterans over the offseason here. When it really comes down to it, what Indianapolis has been doing is setting themselves up for a strong Super Bowl, run. And I'm going to give them confidence, man. I mean, Andrew Luck, I might have made fun, when it was all going down, but when it comes down to it, they're a team where he's one of the one of the most recently drafted quarterbacks that has been able to make an immediate impact. And so when it comes down to what the Colts have been able to do, man, it's all about putting a team together now to maximize on as much of a window as Andrew Luck is going to allow you.
All right, so Sammy Bissett liking the pick of Kevin Johnson, tweeting. Has good size.
I got too many things going on. I can't tweet right now.
Has good size and athleticism. Also fits the Texans' drive for high character, high motor guys. And then apparently Gruden said tackling is a weakness, but they won't last long with Crennel. So.
The Niners, what are they picking?
What is that?
Armstead. Yeah.
Eric Armstead to the 49ers.
Yeah.
That doesn't surprise me.
What's that?
That doesn't surprise me.
No. They had a lot of vacancies in their defense.
Yeah.
New head coach Eric Mangini comes over to run the defense.
Mangini still finding work. Good for him.
Yeah, right. Somehow, some way.
Whatever, man. It's all about recycling. You know what I mean?
Yeah. There's a. So, do we like Eric Armstead? Is that a good fit for the 49ers?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, he fills in a very big hole, and he's proven himself. He's ready.
So, looking at the 49ers defensive line as it stands today, our lad still has Justin Smith as the right D tackle, and then Ian Williams as a nose tackle. So, would he take the left D tackle in a 3-4 front, or do you see him as an edge player or an outside linebacker? Hello.
Ben?
I'm trying to think. I don't know enough about this 49ers defensive scheme to really comment on that. I know he's got good speed and he's got good hands, but
at 6'7", I think you'd have to try to get him over, in the gap between the guard and the tackle to try to disrupt things a little bit, I would think. And
maybe to blind the quarterback a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know.
Right. Well, I mean, you look at Justin Smith. Okay, 2008. it has been a rock and a mainstay of this defense, for several years, where the defensive line was, elite for them. And at this point, dude's 35 years old, treads wearing on the fucking tires. It's something where, you got to start thinking about the future. Ray McDonald, playing at a high level, but, they ended up cutting him with all the off-the-field trouble. That was something, that was a position they needed to add. A guy that could be an impact and someone that can make a difference immediately for them. And so, honestly, we can talk all you want about, adding on Jim Tomasula and, his crazy interview and just, the awful direction this team is probably heading after the Harbaugh era. But, no, it's definitely it's a little bit of intrigue there. I like it. Like I said, again, it's an area where I felt they had a huge need. I had inside linebacker and cornerback number one on that list, but defensive end, that definitely will make a difference and kind of help, Tomasula make a flip on this roster a little bit sooner than I think he can. And I talk like a caveman. Don't worry about that.
All right, the Kansas City Chiefs pick is in.
Already, huh?
Yeah.
Doesn't mean we'll see it for the next 5 minutes.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know what's happening. I don't know if I'm on pace with you guys or if I'm on pace with the television. I don't know who to keep up with right now.
What's funny is that I'm watching it through the Time Warner app on my iPad while I'm here on the computer. So there's a little delay there. And then that feed kind of went down. So now I have it on the Watch ESPN app on my phone right in front of me. And there's an even bigger delay on that. So it's just wild right now. Twitter is the fastest way to keep up.
Yeah, Twitter's like ruining all the picks for me because I see it before I hear it.
Yeah.
Oh, man, I can sound so much smarter if I just use Twitter right now.
Tell me.
I have my... you're fine.
The Chiefs are supposedly going to pick where to go. Marcus Peters, cornerback.
Okay. All right. No, I'm not bad on Peters for the most part. You know what I mean? I felt he was one of the better options out there. I mean, he is one of those guys that's boom or bust. You know what I mean? And a lot of people, I think, kind of figured he was going to end up going to Philadelphia. We'll see. You know what I mean? I feel like he's going to be able to be one of those guys that can actually contribute. I mean, how do you feel about that, Ben?
Yeah, I've heard he has some character issues. I don't know what the deal is with that, but definitely a guy who has high ceiling but a low floor. Didn't want to see him go to a division rival. Didn't want him for the Cowboys. I'm good if he stays, on the AFC side. Respect the talent. I don't fear him, but I respect what he has the potential to do.
Yeah, obviously, like you had mentioned, there's the off-the-field issues, but this is a guy where, when he's actually on the field, it seems like he's able to control himself. You know what I mean? He's a solid tackler, good length. I mean, he's quick, he's fluid, he's able to move around. You know what I mean? Like quick feet, good hands. This is one of those things where, he kind of fits in that mold of, what Seattle was able to establish. For all those years. It's one of those guys, and I mean, that's been the trademark of this Seattle, franchise organization to this point, they've been able to develop and find the guys that can operate in the secondary and just shut down the passing game that's becoming the NFL. At this point, I mean, he's one of my last guys here on my list, at least in terms of, looking at the top of what's available. I mean, you saw Trey Wayne go. I mean, P.J. Williams is up there. You're looking at, Jalen Collins. Kevin Johnson's out at this point. But, no, I'm actually very cool with the whole Marcus Peters move. Just knowing, even though he has had those issues, I think it's something he might be able to work through.
You look at the personnel for the Chiefs. Sean Smith was the fifth best rated cornerback at Pro Football Focus last year. So if Peters does indeed start and he can live up to the promise, the next one down the list was number 51, Philip Gaines. So there's a contribution to be made there by the rookie.
Charles Gaines? Are there multiple gains in this draft? I don't even know, man.
No.
I've been reading so much on so many different people. I don't know what the hell is right side up or ass backwards. I don't even know.
Phillip Gaines is an existing cornerback on the Chiefs roster.
Oh, well, good for him. Congratulations, man.
Dear
Congratulations, Phillip.
Dear
How about you
God.
make a difference so I recognize your name? We need some guys to step up here in the cornerback position. So.
All right.
You better, take notice because Charles Gaines, he's in my third tier. But you know what? He's coming for you, Phillip. You better watch out.
All right, let's take a break. Ben, are you going to hang around?
Yeah, I'll hang around.
Fantastic.
Thank you, Ben.
Let's take a short 3.5-minute break, catch our breath, refresh our beverages. We'll be right back with the Fantasy Greeks NFL Draft first round coverage live at LateNightSportsRadio.com.
Baby, you're a mystery. Tell me what's a girl gotta do? Looking at the history doesn't seem to give any clue. Just when I think I understand it all, you seem to unravel some more. Ooh, la, 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 ooh, I never know nobody like you. Ooh, la, 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 ooh, now, now I know. Baby, you're not an enigma. Ooh, la, la, oh. Yeah, you keep me guessing on confessing now, well, baby, it's true. I never know nobody like you. Baby, you're an enigma. Baby, you're a riddle. I'm caught up in the middle of you. I'm trying to think bigger, but I can't seem to figure it through. I wanna make it better, but now I'm scared of looking a fool. Oh, baby, no, I've never been very good at playing it cool. Just when I think I understand it all, I find I know nothing at all. I never know nobody like you. Now I know you're an enigma. Yeah, you keep me guessing, I'm confessing now, baby, it's true. I never know nobody like you. Baby, you're an enigma. Baby, you're an enigma.
Who the hell can wait till morning? Talk now at LateNightSportsRadio.com.
The Fantasy Greeks NFL Draft coverage of the first round live here on LateNightSportsRadio.com. Second year we're doing this, folks. 585-633-7487 or Skype us at Late Night Sports Radio. If you want to talk the NFL Draft as it happens, 585-633-7487 or Skype Late Night Sports Radio. The Browns are on the clock here with their second pick in the first round. I'm on the line now with Ben Franklin from thefantasygreek.com, who's holding down the fort with me momentarily. John and Jim are apparently caught up in the festivities over at the Cubby Bear in Chicago, raising money for WITS, working in the schools, to trying to raise some money for Chicago area schools, a worthy cause, no doubt. But we are waiting, and during the break, Ben, I said that when the Browns have 2 picks in the first round, the second one hasn't always been all that smart. I mean, Brandon Weeden, Johnny Manziel. What do you think they're going to do here with this pick?
When was the last time they didn't draft a quarterback in the first round?
Yeah.
So, maybe they break the cycle. Maybe they go smart and address a need. Yeah. I mean, the top 2 running backs are off the board. Maybe they kind of shock everyone and go running back. I know that would certainly force the hand on a lot of other teams, and they do like to mix it up. So
right. I mean, they stunk. I mean, even though Terrence West and Isaiah Crowell may have been flashes, if you watch their play, it's not all that great. Running back is a need for this team. But they could also go wide receiver as well. Josh Gordon cannot be counted on, that's for sure. They did sign Dwayne Bowe. But after that, you've got
Dwayne Bowe's old. You can't really count on him. It's more than a veteran presence.
Right. He's like Andre Johnson on the Colts right now.
Exactly.
But the rest of the wide receiver roster is Andrew Hawkins, Brian Hartline, Taylor Gabriel, Travis Benjamin.
I just like Andrew Hawkins. I don't think he's the number 1 wide receiver, but I do think he'll fill a solid number 2 role. Mm-hmm. If they can get maybe like I forget the receiver in this draft who's maybe a Jalen Strong or
Philip Dorsett.
Yep, yeah. Both of those would be good picks. I mean, they can both develop into a number 1.
Let's see. This was
Cameron Irving. All right, interesting.
Is that who it is?
Yep.
Cameron Irving, he's listed as a guard?
He's a center.
He's a center.
I think he's the center that could play both guard and center.
Okay.
And so, wow, they're stepping up on with Danny Shelton and Cameron Irving. Those are smart picks.
Wait, you actually mean like building from the lines out?
Yeah.
We're just not used to it here.
I know that's weird because usually they go for something flashier. That's not necessarily flashy, but smart.
Yeah,
I have to admit.
Oh, so apparently even Josh Gordon was expecting a wide receiver on Twitter.
Really?
Yeah, that's fantastic.
That's funny.
Oh man.
You know what's interesting right now? Oh gosh, the Eagles are on the pick. Oh, that's going to be interesting.
What do they do?
No, I don't even think they know. I'm pretty sure they wanted to trade. Did you hear about all the trades they offered to get to number 2?
Crazy stuff.
So I'm pretty sure they're just flying by the seat of their pants right now.
Now, in the mock draft on Monday, you drafted Jake Fisher, the tackle here.
I still agree with that. I mean, you see the other teams in the NFC East following suit and bolstering their line. I think the Eagles could, definitely follow suit and do that.
They they didn't rate well passing the ball, but so quarterback's an issue, but they can't address it at this point. There's nobody in the draft that makes sense at this point. Do you think it's possible that they trade down back?
I was actually thinking about that. They definitely need a receiver. I think that because who's their best receiver? Jordan Matthews?
Yeah.
That's the only other thing I could see them doing in this round. They need a first rounder. Trading down could be useful. I don't see it as something Chip Kelly would do.
Right.
But, I mean, they have serious need at receiver and at 9.
Right now, the Eagles wide receiver roster is Riley Cooper, Josh Hoff, Miles Austin, Will Murphy, and then nobody of consequence. Nobody of consequence. 3 names, but nobody of consequence. So.
And we know how disappointing Riley Cooper's been, and I mean Miles Austin. He's a hamstring away from not being able to walk.
Ian Rappaport is saying the Eagles are not trading. They're going to Make a pick.
As long as I
Oh.
don't take Malcolm Brown, I'm happy.
Right. Spoken like a true Cowboys fan. The pick is in. Oh, I think
That's
we're
not somebody I want to go up against twice a year.
right. I think we're being rejoined by our hosts.
You know, I actually might say Bud Dupree because I'm surprised he fell this far. I'm probably sure they're pretty sure.
Yeah, I mean, and because Trent Cole is old, so he was let go. They got Kiko Alonso, but I don't really see Kiko as an outside player.
Plus, is he healthy? I mean, he's coming off an ACL surgery, so.
Yeah. Oh, is somebody there from the Cubby Bear?
Oh yeah, no, everybody's here.
Oh, okay.
Don't you worry about that, man. I mean, when you talk about the Eagles, I mean, the biggest issue is what's going to happen at quarterback. You bring in Sam Bradford, it's fine. I mean, you need to know, unless they're going to be able to keep him healthy, I mean, you just can't be confident in Bradford. You know what I mean? You need to hit the offensive line in front of him.
Yeah, Johnny, your audio sucks right now. Don't know why. You sound like you're standing far, far away from your microphone.
No, he's so close to his microphone. They're really close.
Oh, Jim, you're still here.
Oh yeah, I've been letting you guys do all the heavy lifting because you're just on a roll.
And I heard you emceeing back there. It's fantastic. I'm on the line with Ben Franklin, by the way.
I know. I saw. Hey Ben, what's going on?
Hey, nothing much. Just hoping the Eagles don't pick wrong or do pick wrong.
Now, what do you think about Lionel Collins? I mean,
he's not being drafted in the first round here tonight.
You don't think?
He'll probably fall if he's drafted at all. He'll probably fall to maybe 4th, 5th round. And
now, from what I understand, with all the technicalities, whatever, Lionel Collins, apparently his, up until the draft, I don't know what the report is, up until this point, but leading into the draft, there was talks of his agents pulling him from the draft and possibly having him go as a compensation pick until he's allowed to kind of clear his name. I mean, ideally, he becomes a free agent, but, I mean, do you really think that's going to happen?
They tried. They tried to remove him from the draft, but the NFL said no, he has to stay.
Good for them. It's about time they took a stand for something. I mean, they're so in between on everything. And, for a guy, I mean, it seems like they try to protect everybody. I mean, it's all about protecting the shield. But when it comes down to it, for them to actually make a stand on something like this and actually come out right off the bat and say that, I mean, good for them. I'll give them some credit where it's due, finally, Yep,
the Eagles took a wide receiver.
Wow.
Nelson Aguilar from USC.
Wow.
I'm not surprised, and I'm pretty actually excited about that because
it's not they didn't take who you were afraid they would take.
Exactly. And I don't want to say it again because I don't want to jinx
it.
Our good buddy over at George Casacos, he sent me a tweet before the pick came in indicating Strong, Fisher, Aguilar, Dupree, so he was right. They went wide receiver.
I mean, they literally have no one on their roster. There is not one stellar receiver on their roster, so...
Well, all right.
And Nelson's a little bit further down on a lot of these draft lists. You know what I mean? At least in terms of, if they feel like he's comfortable, you know what I mean, to actually provide a guy that's going to be able to make some kind of impact right off the bat. You know what I mean? When you look at it, he knows how to set up defenders from a route running perspective. But I mean, when it really comes down to it, there's always a sudden, receiver where, they need a guy in a big, in the bigger slot, with the wide receiver. I mean, Miami has, Jarvis Landry is someone, due to the, the run blocking where it kind of frees him up a little bit. I feel like his quickness might actually serve as an asset. And just the fact that he's got those long legs, his stride, I mean, in terms of what he's going to be able to build up on the outside, or at least in terms of like a speed image, that's really going to help that team out quite a bit.
Agreed. So now that puts the Bengals on the clock, and they really struggled in the pass rush department last year. So is this Dupree here, maybe?
I hope not.
Or you know what? fitting in with the Bengals' previous past of taking players with shady history, maybe this is where Randy Gregory goes.
Yeah. No, that's their kind of guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what? You know why I bet Chip Kelly took that receiver over everyone else? He's that West Coast offense.
Yeah.
And Chip Kelly loves his West Coast offenses.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, and people don't realize that, like, with the schemes. So I ended up taking the amazing book. Okay, I won the raffle here, and I had an opportunity to select between, autographed helmets and a book and all sorts of things. We're doing all sorts of cool stuff here at the Cubby Bear in Chicago, directly across the street from Wrigleyville. Blood, Sweat, and Chalk. Awesome book, and it's all about schemes, okay? That's what it revolves around. It is kind of how these schemes developed, where these guys kind of came from. And, it's one of those things where I feel like he might be able to develop, you know what I mean? Given the right system, the right fit. This is the good spot for it. All the changes that they've made to this point, good decision. It's on my board.
All right, so
if you really want to look at the wide receiver position, I mean, the passing game between what Andy Dalton's been able to provide, it's not brutal right now, huh?
Nelson Aguilar is the 8th Pac-12 player taken by the Eagles since Chip Kelly took over. Out of 16 total picks. I don't know. What's going on with the audio over there?
We're here.
Yeah, but Johnny's mic is failing.
Johnny, your mic is struggling.
Yeah.
I think his mic took a break to have a smoke.
Well, that sometimes happens, I hear.
I wish we would have been on the same page so I could have had a smoke at the same time. That would have been great.
Sports Nation just tweeted that there are 3 things that are sure in Philly: death, taxes, and Chip Kelly drafting a Pac-12 player.
50. It's 8 out of 16 picks. That's 50%. It's amazing if those stories are true about how much he was willing to give up to go get Marcus Mariota. So.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, do you think Evan Mathis? Okay, so you got your left guard still on the roster. They're shopping him. I mean, are they going to find a trade partner? Are they going to replace him? Ben, Jim, anybody? I mean, what are they going to do with the whole Evan Mathis situation?
Sorry, I'm distracted by who the Bengals are actually taking, but
that's okay.
It hasn't been announced yet. I don't want to burst anybody's bubble. But Twitter is reporting here that the Bengals will take Cedric Ogbuehi, offensive tackle from Texas A&M.
Man, this is an offensive tackle-ridden first round.
It really is. I mean, we didn't see that definitely on Monday night at all. But, the heir apparent to Andrew Whitworth, they didn't rate all that bad on the pass block front. So, again, here's another team. It seems like this is like the 3rd or 4th team that I can remember not really addressing needs with their first-round picks. I don't know if I can agree with that.
You're not going to go best player available? I mean, that kind of seems what everyone's been doing. I mean, I was glad to see Flowers go, as early as he did, but...
You go best player available if you're a team with a lot of needs, like the Titans go best player available. A team like the Browns go best player available. Well, when you're a team like the I'm sorry, go ahead.
You didn't like this pick?
It's not that I didn't like it. It's not really a need. Andrew Whitworth's old, okay, but it's not really a need. Not that the players, not that
their top need is offensive linemen. Period. How do you not see that?
That's true. They had a really good rushing duo, and they didn't get as much as they could have last year because of the protection. Plus, with the red. Go ahead.
No, good. You were on a roll. Please.
I was just going to say, with the red rifle back there, I think Andy Dalton could be a top 10 quarterback easy. And give him some more protection. He's got the receivers in A.J. Green and Mohamed Sanu. He could easily be a top 10 with a solid line.
Well,
I talked to you. All right.
No, go ahead. Looking at the performances of the players on the Bengals roster, maybe this is for right tackle, actually, even though he's listed as a left tackle. Andre Smith and Marshall Newhouse rated very poorly last season. Andrew Whitworth was the second highest rated left tackle in the NFL.
Who was drafted here? It's too far away. I can't read.
Cedric Ogboehe.
See? Not a bad pick, man.
So
It does address a need. You know what I mean?
When you look into it, yeah, I guess I can't disagree with it.
Yeah. That's smart. Good for them, man.
With 6 picks left until the Cowboys draft, there's still like top 5 names that they had on their board available.
Yeah, how about that, right?
I was convinced that they were going to try and trade down. I was almost for sure that we were not going to see a Cowboys pick tonight. After reading all the stuff that they were talking about today, I was sure they were going to go for multiple second and third round picks. But with these names available, I don't know how they can. I mean, just Bud Dupree, Byron Jones, Randy Gregory, and Shane Ray are all still available.
Jump on Bud Dupree in like a half second.
Wow.
I can't believe he's lasted that long, to be honest with you.
So the Steelers are on the clock now.
Yeah, and they took Ryan Shazier from us last year.
Yeah.
Literally the pick before, so I wouldn't be surprised if they took the guy that I don't want to say his name to jinx it.
Well, they need secondary help. I mocked Landon Collins here to be the new Palomalu. Because
Paul did retire. I forgot about that.
Yeah, they have deep needs. You need somebody in the secondary that can make the calls, and Landon Collins is that player.
Wow, did you see that they have not selected a defensive back since 2003?
No, I missed that.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at last year, they picked the linebacker, DNs, they picked the running back, wide receiver, defensive back, offensive lineman, linebacker, defensive tackle, tight ends. Just didn't happen in the last draft. And just knowing cornerback, it's been an issue the last couple of years here, obviously. Talent's eroded, you know what I mean? I mean, they've gotten to the point where it's a serious situation, man. You know what I mean? When you're sitting 27th in the league against the pass, that's something you need to address. You know what I mean? You need somebody else that's going to contribute outside of William Gay. You know, I feel like if they can find a high draft pick, a guy that's a shutdown corner, that'll help them out significantly. And even if not there, I mean, if you want to stay in the defensive backfield, you can look at the safety situation. I mean, Mike Mitchell struggled in his first year. You know, good possibility he might get a second chance here. But when it comes down to it, you're looking at thinking long term about the position. Palomalu's out of here. He's been there for 13 years, even though he might have been hurt for a good significant amount of that time. High hopes on the 2013 fourth rounder, Shamrock Watkins.
The Steelers select Bud Dupree.
Bud Dupree. Good for them. Excellent pick.
Wow.
That is a good pick. That's exactly what they needed.
Love it.
Nice edge rusher.
Excellent selection. Oh yeah, man. We got one of our listeners here. It's out of the event. Loves that pick.
Well, he's not exactly a listener. He actually is a NFL, I don't know if you want to say draft or scouting expert, but a combination of the two.
Okay.
So,
what? You guys see the trade?
No.
Hey, guys, Broncos just traded up.
Oh, boy.
Broncos just traded up to 23.
Yeah, Broncos just traded with the Lions.
Wow. So now who Who do the Broncos want that bad?
Defense.
I don't know. You know what? Here, hey guys, I have our analyst from the Fantasy Greek here, Dave Cromlow. So I'm going to let him have my mic and headset and let him jump in. Okay.
Okay.
Here is Dave Carlo.
Here we go. Here's David
from the FantasyGreek.com, big time contributor. Dave, how do you feel about what Denver's able to do here? They're moving down the draft here. What do you think about that?
With them moving up, it has to be for like a guy who they think is really special. Like it could be for like the offensive line, like a DJ Humphreys or a Jake Fisher, or they could be or a defensive lineman like Malcolm Brown out of Texas, who is the ideal nose tackle type for Wade Phillips, because Wade Phillips, for those of you football junkies out there, prefers lighter nose tackles, like just weighing like less than 320, and Malcolm Brown will provide that interior pass rush presence and interior run stuff presence that the Broncos lost with Terrence Knight in free agency. But it could be Shane Ray, or it could be a wild curveball that we don't know. So
here's
Brown is terrible.
Broncos.
Yeah,
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. Feel free, Keith.
There's just some funny things being tweeted out. Broncos trading up for Shane Ray. Let the marijuana jokes fly.
Yeah, well, that's what happens in Denver and
It's
things like
legal in Colorado.
And you're allowed, and I love it. And I feel like maybe I should be covering the Denver Broncos at some point in my career here. But when it really comes down to it, I mean, you're looking at right tackle, you're looking at tight ends, you got outside linebacker, left guard, fullback. You have all sorts of issues right now. And just finding ways to, make Peyton Manning comfortable. And, I mean, they
need a tight end.
Oh, God, yeah, dude. I mean, tight end right now.
Maybe not in the first round.
Oh, yeah. That's pretty high on my list. I mean, I'm pretty surprised Max Williams is still available. But, the tight end position, it's always been a big part of what Peyton Manning's been able to do there. You bring in, Kubiak. That's guy that loves the tight end position. I'll
tell you this: if it is Shade Ray, it's going to be a blown decision, in my opinion. Blown.
Really? Why is that?
Absolutely. Ray is a one-trick pony. He doesn't drop back into coverage. He doesn't stop the run very well. All he does is rush the passer. To trade up for a guy like that in the first round by squandering one of your other draft picks later on in the draft? Come on. It is. Stop it. I don't want to hear it.
It's
Sorry, somebody's trying to tip me, and I do not want any answers. I don't want any surprises. I do not want any surprises.
Hey, well, if Shane Ray brings the fax machine, then they can really replace Doomerville.
That's golden.
Yeah.
Fax machines and beepers. I don't know how they still exist.
That whole sordid story is just, it deserves to be mocked and repeated over and over again for all eternity.
Yeah, when you look at it though, right off the bat, you're looking at Virgil Green, Owen Daniels. You bring him in. Are you sure
Virgil Green's a big sleeper? Don't count him out.
Yeah.
He tested better at the combine than Julius Thomas in 2011. Keep that in mind. He was Colin Kaepernick's favorite target at Nevada. He was.
Wow. So has it been announced? Because Twitter knows it.
No, I've seen the trade announced on the television, so I'll at least acknowledge that fact.
I haven't heard it, but I saw it on Twitter. Never mind, it has been announced.
Yeah, no, it's not. It's not.
It looks like the Broncos gave up a lot. It better be somebody great.
Who's left that's not? I don't get it. They must have known that somebody above them was going to take.
Yeah, Elway's got some balls. Let's be straight up here. You know what I mean? Like, in terms of what he's trying to do with this team, it's hard to pick a direction, to be honest with you.
Don't spoil me.
A big thing for Kubiak is always having
Here we go, the pick.
Fullback or, a halfback. A guy that's able to take a couple extra blocks, but all right, here we go. Listen to Goodell.
With the 23rd pick in the 2015 NFL Draft, the Denver Broncos select Shane Ray.
There it is. Shane Ray. So the
Oh, you're pissed.
so listen.
Let the weed
So wait.
slide.
So wait. Before we break this pick down.
What a dumb decision John Elway just made.
Listen.
Blew that pick.
When
John Elway blew that pick.
Before we break down this pick, the Lions traded the number 23 pick to the Broncos for offensive lineman Manny Ramirez, the 28 pick, the 5th rounder, and a 2016 5th rounder.
What?
Wow, that's a lot to give up to Shane Ray.
Yep.
Yeah, no kidding.
Well, I don't mind us giving up Manny Ramirez after he stuck it up this year, and he was not a fit in Kubiak's system. But Shane Ray, John Elway blew that pick. That's all I can say. He's a bust waiting to happen. A bust.
Oh.
He's a one-trick pony. Give up all that for a one-trick pony? Give me a freaking break.
So what you're saying is you don't like the pick.
Nope, not at all. Not at all.
All right. Well.
Well, here's hoping I'm wrong, though. I could be wrong. Like, I remember when, like, the Chicago Bears took Kyle Loggett's running the Chicago radio station, like, went to who he said, oh, they blew that pick, and they turned out to be wrong, and Kyle Logg turned out to be serviceable. So, God, please pray that I'm the one that made the mistake and not John Elway. Please, God. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
Hey, Arizona pick us in.
Things are moving right along here.
Not fooling around.
They already knew who they wanted.
You got it, man. I love the war rooms, by the way. All the whiteboards and erasable markers and people in collared shirts. Very important decision.
Oh, yes.
And when you're looking at Arizona, I mean, their immediate needs. You're looking at outside linebacker Alex Okafor. 8 sacks last year, but outside of him, I mean, no other linebacker tallied more than 2. And I mean, that's depressing a little bit, to be honest with you.
I agree. They also need a running back, though. I mean, it was a weak point. Andre Ellington's great.
On the list as a need, just knowing that it's such a deep, position. They need.
I don't think they're going to be in the first round, but
yeah, and that's the exciting thing about this too. You know what I mean? Like you have tonight, obviously you're going to make it, jump to all sorts of conclusions. But I mean, outside linebacker, cornerback, you need a nose tackle, and then it kind of turns to offense in terms of what they need at center, in terms of what they need at quarterback. You stay at Larry Fitzgerald, you got Malcolm Floyd. I mean, or Michael Floyd. You still have some options there, and it's just kind of finding the right fit. And I'm not sure. Do you have any confidence, Ben, in Carson Palmer? I mean, do you feel like he's going to be able to come back and lead this offense to something? Or do they need to address the defense right now and fix it while you still have whatever you have out of Carson Palmer?
Go ahead, Jim.
I was going to jump in and say I thought I had to run over here and save Dave. He was about to fall off the chair.
That's fantastic.
Oh, Dave was super excited. Like that was
You
the
think?
worst pick ever. He almost jumped out of the head.
Wow. Shane Ray.
Yeah.
I was going top 25.
You didn't, or you did?
I did not.
Oh, you did not. See, and I figured maybe he would have some issues and probably fall back a little bit. But, man, that talent is, obvious. It's there for you if you want it.
So the Cardinals are on the clock now.
So, the Cardinals, at this pick, we mocked them. John had them taking cornerback Marcus Peters, but he's gone.
Gone.
He's gone.
He's gone.
I got him with it. Randy Gregory.
Ooh.
Interesting.
Man, back-to-back shady picks. How about that?
Yeah. They didn't do much well last year, despite their record. It's amazing. If you look at the way Pro Football Focus rates these guys is basically, did you do your job or didn't you do your job? And you get a positive 0.1 for doing your job and a negative 0.1 for not doing your job. And there's an awful lot of red on the Arizona Cardinals. So how they won games just blows me away. But their biggest glaring need, like you were saying, John, is Carson Palmer going to be Carson Palmer like he was when he was healthy? Because he was playing pretty good ball before he got hurt.
Yeah, I mean, if he's healthy, you're fine. But I mean, outside of him, Drew Stanton, when he went down, he continued to get uglier. I mean, they were able to hold serve for a minute there, but Logan Thomas, Chandler, Harnish. I mean, those aren't guys you feel confident going to an NFL season with. You know what I mean? And if you do, pick a troublemaker. I mean, if you're going to have a head coach, it might as well be Bruce Arians. I mean, this guy can keep everybody cool. But you do need to add a couple weapons around him. Even though the offense is suffering as poorly as it is, maybe add another center. I mean, I'm not sure if you can add a wide receiver or running back that's going to make that much of a difference. But if you do give, Palmer a little bit more of a chance by trying to keep him healthier, adding a center, I mean, for the first time in a long time, their offensive line, is kind of finally starting to take shape. Added Jared Vendliner and also Bobby Massey ended up, becoming pretty much tied up at that offensive tackle position. But he also add Mike Atupi, at guard. That's a big boost. There's a lot of DJ Humphries gone.
Yep, offensive lineman DJ Humphries to the Arizona Cardinals. Not a bad pick at all.
No, not at all.
Offensive
They
tackle.
definitely needed it.
Again, there's someone just to buy, Palmer a little bit more time, whether it be in the pocket or in his career, just giving him that little bit more time to work with and finding somebody that's, going to keep him off his back is going to be a big difference maker there in St. Louis.
Yeah, you got to keep him healthy. Carson Palmer is now the equivalent of Mr. Glass from Unbreakable.
Hold on. Side note. I just saw the NFL tweeted that I didn't even think of this. The Denver Broncos now have DeMarcus Ware, Von Miller, and Shane Ray.
Yeah.
That's quite a trio of pass rushers.
Yeah.
They're gonna have their own version of the Giants NASCAR front.
So is that thing that drove Elway to make that move, you think? Just knowing that it's something that's going to be impossible to knock out?
Well, I mean, he obviously has his motivations, so I don't know. When is enough enough? Apparently, you can never have enough pass rushers. I would agree with that as the rules on defense get harder and harder for corners. You're going to need to affect the passing game defensively somehow. And right now, the only way you can really do that effectively, physically, is by getting to the quarterback because you can't touch a receiver anymore. So, whoa. And we got an awful lot of noise coming in. So we will take a quick break really quick here. 3 minutes, folks. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to the Fantasy Greeks live coverage of the NFL Draft first round on LateNightSportsRadio.com.
Maybe I could offer up an answer to a tale
Who the hell can wait till morning? Talk now at latenightsportsradio.com.
TheFantasyGreek.com's NFL Draft first round coverage at LateNightSportsRadio.com. Keith Grieve, John Maloris, Jim Sarantias, and Ben Franklin hanging out, talking NFL Draft as we try to figure out just what the heck is going on.
Panthers has made a selection. Who
Oh.
they pick? I see a man in a dark black suit.
The Panthers pick is in, but apparently everybody already knows who the team's after them. It's Shaq Thompson, linebacker.
Jack.
That just makes me sad.
Why is that, Ben?
I really liked him. If corner wasn't available, he was my favorite pick. I always thought corner first, but I loved Shaq Thompson.
Yeah, no, provides a need for them. I mean, obviously.
Outside linebacker, we're already covered in the middle. We're already covered on the strong and the weak side. We needed the outside, especially a backup to Sean Lee and Rolando McClain. That's a need.
Well, I mean, the biggest thing for me with Carolina was the hole they left at left tackle. I mean, for the first time more than a decade, they finally had an issue there. You had Byron Bell. Didn't do well shifting over to right tackle. Giving up 9 sacks. Then you had Nate Chandler, at right. Didn't play much better. Michael Orr, signing up from Tennessee. Not really sure he's that big of a game planner, but when it comes down to it, I mean, you're looking at your blind side protector for Cam Newton, okay? Top priority. You absolutely need to address that as soon as you can just to get things righted in Carolina. Don't you think, Ben?
Oh, yeah. Hold on, sorry. I'm getting a lot of texts about the Dallas pick.
Yeah, things are happening. You know what I mean? And, adding other pieces, around Cam, they have multiple options, at least in terms of, what they're going to be able to do. Moving on into the future rounds and knowing how deep it is there at receiver and at running back, and knowing a lot of those running backs are guys that are going to be able to transfer at least to, some aspect of the receiving game. They're picking 57 and 89 and 124. They got 9 picks overall. That's really going to help Dave Gettleman, figure out what he's doing here with Ron Rivera, so they can, again, they can use a receiver, but adding a little bit of something to the offensive line, that's really going to help Cam Newton and hopefully open things up elsewhere. Because to this point, Greg Olsen, I don't know how much he's going to do for you. You got Jericho Cotchery out there, but aside from that, you have Kelvin Benjamin, and then it drops off. I mean, I'm not sure. I'm not too confident in what Ted Ginn can do for you, or Corey Brown, to be honest. And so, addressing that offensive line, that's a great pick.
All right, the Baltimore Ravens pick is in, and apparently they're going to take Brashad Perriman, wide receiver.
Why the hell not?
Good, they got no one else. I mean, who's left? Steve Smith, who's like 40?
Yeah, I mean, you had to make the pick eventually.
Right now in Oakland.
What's that?
Charles Woodson in Oakland? How's that happening?
Oh. But if you look at, by position.
Apparently, the Cowboys are taking fireball shots in the draft room.
Ha! That's so Jerry.
That fits, but I'm not sure why yet. I gotta think it's Byron Jones. Byron Jones. I want this one guy, but
that's what I'm seeing on Twitter is that it's Byron Jones.
I'll see it.
I mean, so what are you thinking? I mean, honestly, a significant amount of the Cowboys' problems all rely on what they've been able to do defensively. Rob Marinelli came in as defensive coordinator, turned one of the worst defensive in the NFL to not a horrible team, at least defensively. Plenty of areas still left for improvement, but in terms of their safeties and Barry Church and J.J. Wilcox, essentially the same guy. You know what I mean? They're both pretty good against the run. What they're going to be able to do against the pass, is kind of questionable. And that's why adding a guy in the backfield, that's a cornerback, is going to make a bigger difference. Jim Saranthias from the FantasyGreek.com. What do you think about the Cowboys now? What's going to happen? Are they going to address their defensive side of the ball, maybe add a secondary guy, or are they going to look to that defensive line?
No, it's got to be secondary. I mean, they've kind of shored up their line a little bit with adding some linebackers. I'll admit it, no-name linebackers, but the secondary is definitely an area of need. And Byron Jones, he fits it. I gotta think that's who it is, because there's no better corner available. And they're certainly not going to they probably didn't think he would fall that far.
Yeah, and on top of that, I mean, to this point, Morris Claiborne, the 2012 draft pick, has been a bust at this point. You know what I mean? You're looking at free agent flop Brandon Carr. What he's going to do with himself. I'm sorry? Oh, yeah? All right, now I'm getting insider knowledge over here.
What's that?
Nothing good.
Oh, okay.
And then they got Brandon Carr, man. This guy, he's set to make about $12 million next year. That's going to hurt your cap. You know what I mean? I got a good chance to release him. You know what I mean? You have Orlando Scandrick, Sterling Moore. Both filled.
Sterling Moore left.
Oh yeah, and see exactly. And that was one thing. I mean, they filled their holes all right. It didn't really help out all that much. You know what I mean? So seeing him leave, not going to kill it. And there goes
There's the Ravens.
Yep.
Probably learned nothing from DHB.
You forget that
doesn't even matter.
And you got to remember Torrey Smith also left the Ravens too, so that increased the need for
he's
this
in
pick.
San Francisco, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, you look at what's left. I mean, Devontae Parker left, but I mean, you still have Sammy Coates out there for you. Angler.
And what's the? I forget his name. It's 3 names. It's like Green, Bear, something.
Dorian Green Beckham.
Dorian Green, thank you. He's still available, and I think he's a top 5 in my book.
Should have been.
Oh yeah,
definitely should have been.
Yeah, definitely. No, he's for sure in like my second tier, and that's the thing about wide receiver and even tight end. It's a longer list. I mean, in terms of what's available and guys that can do both things in terms of protecting the quarterback and also giving them an option as to someone that's reliable and can catch the ball. You know what I mean? Dorial Green, Beckham, that's one of those guys. He's right there, and not only is he still available, you still have Jalen Strong. Jalen Strong board.
Yeah, and you have Philip Dorsett.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And again, like I said, plenty of options. But when it comes to Dallas, I still feel like you got to focus on the defensive side of football.
So we will see. What?
I don't even know that shot is coming.
Hello, what's going on?
Seriously, the Cowboys, they put on such a love fest. It's pretty amazing.
What's what do we think Dallas does here? Is it the cornerback?
Byron Jones.
Byron
it's got to
Jones.
be everything on Twitter saying Byron Jones. It's the biggest need. I love it.
Yeah, I mean,
Jason Garrett always talks about having the right kind of guy. Byron Jones, he's the quality character kind of corner. He doesn't have the risks associated with Peters or Kevin Johnson. Like he's got the instincts. If he gets burnt, he can catch back up to him. I like him.
It's looking like Byron Jones is going off the board.
if you are a fan of the Buffalo Bills and we're hoping to see them trade into the first round, according to Twitter, the Buffalo Bills logo has been removed from the podium, so apparently there will be no need for a press conference later tonight, so it looks like they are done for the night.
What, are you kidding me?
No, I'm really not.
That's awful.
So, Dallas's pick is in. You know what? Do you know what social media is doing right now? It's making you realize just how orchestrated the drama in the draft really is. Because Twitter is 3 picks ahead right now, and they haven't even revealed the Cowboys pick yet.
I'm half tempted to just get off Twitter because it's kind of
yeah. But I don't know. and we're not going to find out who the Cowboys pick is just yet. And we were going to run out of time on this session, so if you're listening live, wait about 20 seconds and rejoin us. We're going to start a new broadcast, a new show, and we'll finish out the first round on the air live. You're listening to the Fantasy Greeks NFL Drive first round live at Late Night Sports Radio.